Hello, everybody. How are you all doing? Can you all hear me? Let me do a sound check real quick. Okay, good. Yep, we're golden. We are golden. Yes. Hello, everybody. So, has everybody heard of this article? The Blum article? It's pretty wild. It is like, oh man. Did I forget my drink? I think I forgot my drink. Hang on. Hold on 1 second. Dang. I see a couple people saying you guys haven't heard this, and sorry about that. I just had to yell to Malia, see if she was down there to grab the drinks. But oh man. Yeah, it is. It's wild. I mean, there's a couple details that are dropped that still have me spinning, honestly. I don't know what to think about them. Like my first instinct is to question them, and we'll get into exactly what that is. Here, I'll go down the rundown real quick. So welcome to the show, everybody. This is the True Crime Talk Show presented by ThoughtRiotPodcast. For all you audio listeners here, my name is Brendan.
And I am Malia.
And we are about to get into it. Super stoked to have everybody here. So make sure whether you're listening live or you're listening to a replay on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, any of the podcast platforms, hit that like button, leave us some love, give us a rating, leave us a I can't believe what I almost said. Leave us a comment. I don't know why that was going to come out, but yeah, leave us a comment, and we respond. We respond to almost everything. Like, I invest a lot of time into comments and responses on every platform, just because the way that we look at this is we work for you guys, so we want to communicate with you, know what you're thinking, see how you're feeling about it and everything. So the more comment, communication, and engagement, the better for us. So if we haven't responded, just hang tight, we'll get to you. Sometimes every once in a while I'll forget about a social media platform and they're like, oh shoot, I haven't checked that in a few days, you know what I mean? So yeah, welcome everybody. We will get into it. So this is, it's Howard, right? Howard Blum?
Howard Blum.
Yeah, Howard Blum. So there's multiple Blums. I'm getting them mixed up here. But Howard Blum, do you know his background? Because I know that he's been covering the Idaho4 cases for a while now. And people have been talking about his articles that come out for a while now. And here, let me pull up his Twitter real quick.
He's an author. He's done.
Is he crime specific though? Is what I was getting at.
Kind of. I think he's done some kind of political, like kind of.
Wait, what's his first name again?
Things.
Andrew. Right.
Howard Blum.
Howard. ADHD moment. Okay, I can't help it sometimes. I literally, as soon as a word comes in my brain, it's going out the other side. Right.
Historical author. Okay. I knew there was something about a spy. I thought it had a political angle, but maybe I'm wrong.
Okay, hang on. Let me share this real quick. And
Right.
yes, Howard Blum. There we go, baby. Okay, so this is Howard Blum. If you guys aren't following this guy, I suggest you do follow it. He's a writer, like we were just saying, and not around his content, but around his writing. It's pleasant. It's enjoyable. You know,
Yeah.
I've been reading quite a bit of it today, and it's an easy read. I like it. It keeps me engaged. So if you're a reader, I mean, I think it's a great person to follow. And since we're going to be talking about one of his articles, I just want to make sure and give him a shout out. You know, we never want to talk about somebody or take some of their content, whether it's writing, whether it's video, whatever it is, without giving them a shout out. So all you audio listeners out there, we are currently looking at the Howard Blum Twitter page right now. It's at Howard Blum, HOWARDBLUM. So check him out, follow him.
How are you going to tell people to follow him when you're not even following him? Follow him.
Oh, good call out. Yeah. But yeah, check him out, follow him. And yeah, I'm super stoked to talk about it because it blew me away. Blew me away. All right, now let me get back to the right screen share here. Do you have any other input you want to put in on it?
No. I mean, I think a few other content creators have covered this so far. I know that Harsh Reality talked about it, which is actually who I heard about it through. So shout out to you, Harsh. I enjoyed his commentary on it. I thought it was reasonable.
Yeah.
He usually is very reasonable and agreeable. But
yes, Ian, that's exactly what I was doing. I was just waiting to demonstrate on exactly how to follow somebody.
Yep.
But that's interesting. So as you guys all know, I really enjoy Harsh's stuff at Harsh Reality. And I usually appreciate all of his input and opinions and everything as well. I have not listened to that video yet. The weekend time from Friday at 5 p.m. till Sunday, whenever I get off of here with you guys, I am on the computer editing literally the entire time. So I just don't have time for a lot of that. I've just been squeezing in some of the reading so that we could talk about it tonight in between video edits. But I'm super excited to get into this with you guys. It is insane. And like I said, my head is still spinning. I read this over an hour ago, this final one, this last one here that just came out on the 7th, and my head is still spinning. I don't know what to say about it. Okay, so let's get into it. Yeah, so he talks about us specifically in here. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, you guys. We're going to dive into, I'm going to give you the rough breakdown here, right? So he just goes into the breakdown of the situation. This is a focus directly on Kaylee here, and how she was super interested in true crime. And very recently, before the situation where she lost her life, unfortunately, she had tried to help a case out, a local case that was a missing woman, Sharon Archer here. And she saw somebody who she thought was Sharon Archer at a Walmart and called into the police station and let them know about it. So,
which is super weird and sad that this is how her life ended. You know, like she had that fascination, literally tried to help save somebody, and then gets murdered in one of the most brutal, awful ways possible. It ends up being a true crime case herself. It's kind of strange how life works, huh?
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. I don't I think it's weird that she went out of her way like that to try and help a case at the age that she was.
That
So
she cared that much.
yeah, if you would have caught me at that age, like someone literally could have pointed a person out and been like, hey, I bet my life on it for 100% sure. That person right there is a missing person that they've been looking for. And my response at that age would have been like, and walk away, literally. So the fact that she cared that much to get involved, whether it was just because she liked true crime or she enjoyed helping people out, I think it shows a lot about her,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's just kind of the intro breakdown to now talking about why Steve, which I'm curious. And hello, everybody. ZJ, American Princess, Ian, Madison. Hello. Welcome.
To answer your question, ZJ, I don't know that this leans necessarily towards a theory. I mean, it's kind of about Steve's investigation, and he does think Kohberger's involved, but as we know from the 48 hours, he's open to it being somebody else, but he shares some evidence. Okay, we don't have proof, but he shares some evidence in here that makes him lean towards Kohberger.
Yes, but
Steve does.
I know that you listened to the Harsh video, and make sure you guys go and check that out. I haven't, so I'm just going to look at this as critically as I can, and not because it's Steve, not because it's Howard Blum, not because it's anything other than the fact that here at Thought Riot, we try really hard to critically analyze and talk about everybody's statement in the same way, no matter who they are, right? So I think that's one thing I'm a little bit worried about, is I don't want it to come off like I'm putting Steve down in any way, when it if anything, it's respect that I'm willing to look at somebody's statement, whether they are involved in this horrible situation or it's somebody right off the street that I don't know. I look at all of them the same, right? So I just don't want it to come off wrong like that. Hey, Annie, welcome.
I mean, I think we can all ask questions. Like, a big one was, okay, for example, you have people with Dylan Mortensen in the camp where they're criticizing her and the way she looks, okay, and being hateful towards her and in every respect possible. And then you have the people who are just asking questions.
Yeah.
Like, why? Why did you take 8 hours to call the police?
Yeah.
Like, asking questions and speculating is a lot different than hating on somebody.
I agree.
And negatively criticizing them.
I agree.
About things that don't even matter.
No, I agree. I just wanted to preface it because obviously there are people that are connected to this case that are easily upset. You know what I mean? That's the nicest way I can put it, right? All right, so this then goes into, okay, so in the beginning part of this, it was Kaylee's journey before the crime, and her interest in true crime. Then the crime happened, of course, and then this article is how Steve was feeling and what he did from that point on. And one thing that he talks about is that he was motivated by Kaylee's interest in true crime to investigate this case of the Idaho4 because of that. Like, he felt like it was something he could do for her, with her, around true crime that was in his control, which, like, looking at him as a father, that's admirable. I see that and I think, okay, yeah, that's amazing. That makes me appreciate him and respect him all that much more, because I think in any situation where you have a father that is like, look, no offense here, but I'm not trusting anybody to take care of my daughter, you know, like I would as her father. I think it's commendable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I want to say hi to like
Yeah.
everybody real quick because I saw a few people hopped in. This is not working. Is this charged? Okay, there we go.
You have to click it. You always forget to click it.
I did click it. Hello, all the Michaels. Michael Little, what's up? Ian, hi. American Princess, Anne. Hope you guys, Madison. Hope you guys are doing good tonight. Okay, so
Annie, have you?
Anne.
No.
Yes, Anne.
Well, I've always said Annie.
Yeah, because it's Anne though.
Okay. Anne. So, have you heard about this? Okay. So let's get into it, right? So he's been motivated at this point to start diving in, and he's actually made connections with everyone knows her by Chronicles of Olivia, and the interview has happened, the famous interview, the first interview of the Goncalves family in their living room, right? And that was by the Chronicles of Olivia, and he was talking about what's motivating him in this, you know, and that's where we hear Steve make those threats and saying like directly at the camera that I'm coming for you, you know, as to the suspect. You remember that?
Wait, which video?
With the interview video where they're sitting on the couch and
okay.
Yeah. So I'm just highlighting the evidence here as we go through it. So one thing that I did want to, oh gosh, if you haven't heard about this, it's wild. So one thing I did want to highlight here, which it's not really important. It's not major evidence to the case. I just like painting a picture of the person that we're reading, right? And one bit of information that we have here that we have not talked about, just because it's so focused around like personal space type topics is
it's just very personal.
Yeah, it's very, very, very personal. You know, it's like preferences in bedroom type personal, you know, stuff that we just it doesn't have anything to add to a case here. But the mainstream media has been pushing this narrative that Jack and Kaylee were like amazing, you know, doing great or whatever. And this writer is not pushing that narrative. He says it correct that they were not together. And I think that's important to highlight because anywhere you can read a story, right, where somebody's trying to present facts in a case, it's important to point out and highlight areas where, hey, we know this is true, you know, and this is actually the opposite of the mainstream storyline because they hadn't been together. They have been having problems for literally an entire year leading up to the crime. It was on and off, on and off, on and off. And yeah, that's the most I'll say, you know, about it, but they were not together.
Right.
Yeah. So I just think it's important that that's pointed out there, right?
And sure, ZJ, tell us your theory. Oh, wait.
Yeah. We want to hear all theories for sure.
Oh, like an experiment on the population? Is that what you're saying? I think that was like his theory right there. That's what he said at the end.
So I didn't know this, okay? And I think this is really important to highlight here. So yet, when the Moscow PD summarily hooked Jack up to a lie detector and administered a DNA swab to compare with evidence found at the crime scene, he passed both examinations with flying colors, according to one of Steve's friends. Okay, there's two major things in there. The lie detector test, that's the first time I've heard about a lie detector test being used in this case at all, period, about anybody, anywhere, anytime, okay?
Yep.
Two, they took a DNA swab to compare evidence at the crime scene.
When did this happen and how?
And what DNA? We're told there is one. We're told there's one DNA, and that's Kohberger's. The rest of them were not able to be filed in CODIS. They didn't have a workable profile that was able to be compared. So what DNA?
Well,
because they didn't have the sheath DNA. When Jack got taken off the suspect list, they did not have the sheath DNA.
how do we know that? When did they have the sheath DNA?
I'm pretty sure it was okay, I'm gonna have to pull it up, but I'm guesstimating here, so just understand I'm guesstimating based off of my memory, which is not real reliable, but I'm pretty sure it was like 17 days before Kohberger. They had 7 days trying to make the connection, and then that left. They figured out Kohberger was the guy between 8 and 10 days before they picked him up. Do you want to triple check that?
Yeah,
okay.
And what's up, Steve? Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, triple check that because I'm trying to remember based on my memory here. Well, but Jack was cleared 2 weeks after the crime. Within 10 days. I think 10 days after. I'm pretty sure.
That seems really fast.
No, super fast. Very, 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 very fast. So from my understanding, okay, and please let me know if I'm wrong, you guys. Dates and names are not my strong suit here. And I probably should have pulled that up before hopping on here. But I believe they did not have Kohberger's DNA profile at the time that they cleared Jack. So if they swabbed him, then what DNA were they comparing it against?
J Ray, are you here yet? We need J Ray.
tell her to hop on. Yeah. So those don't add up, and that will be something that we'll follow up on.
Yeah, I'm looking it up. I'm gonna dig real quick.
So we'll continue from there. I'll have to look that up, ZJ. I watched all the Drip Drops videos on the Idaho4 in his playlist. I don't remember that, but I think he has like 12 or 14 videos. So it says he passed both examinations with flying colors. Okay. Passed both examinations with flying colors. What would be nice is when we found out confirmation what the likelihood of his DNA is matching that other set of DNA. Because like we talked about in our video recently, the DNA is not a one size fits all. It matches or it doesn't. We now know that it is always done on a percentage base. So they could look at a DNA strand and be like, that's not going to be you. That is going to be, you match that at like a 10% rate, 1 out of every 10 people or something like that. So, all right. So, right, Ian. He didn't pop up. According to everything that we're reading, he didn't pop up on their radar until they got the DNA profile already being created, from my understanding. Jack, I think, was cleared within 10 days, but search when Jack was cleared, DeCoeur.
Okay. You know what? I have a super good article that Ian sent me that was like a timeline breakdown.
Yeah.
That I may be able to use to find a lot of that information, actually.
So Jack being close to Kaylee would have been called in within the first couple days.
Oh, probably like the first or second day.
Yep. So, all right, this is interesting now. So after this, and Steve says that he knew about this, okay, that a lie detector test was administered, a DNA swab was compared. Steve gravely demanded that the young man submit to the indignity of a physical inspection. Jack promptly rolled up his sleeves, lifted his shirt, exposed his neck, and displayed his hands, both palms up and down, while Steve meticulously searched in vain for a telltale scratch or bruise. So Jack came over to their house, okay? Within the week of the crime happening.
That is 10 days exactly.
What?
November 23rd.
Yes, exactly. I thought it was 10 days. Look at that. I still got some memory.
Kohberger didn't even pop up on Ellie's radar until November 29th.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you that doesn't align.
That's going to be when he popped up on the radar could be separate from when they actually got the DNA.
I mean,
okay, so here's one thing I don't get about the DNA.
You can't clear someone
without the DNA profile. I get that. What I want to say here for just a second is that I'm very confused about is how they even knew to compare it to his dad's DNA. Like he had to have been on the radar before the DNA, which I think we knew he was because of the car. But I feel like when people say, like on the media, they've said that they found him like basically through genealogy.
Yeah.
They didn't. They did not. They didn't even need to do a genealogical thing, whatever, work up a family tree. They don't even need to do that. When you test somebody's parent, you just see that person's related.
But so how they got to testing his dad is because of the genealogy data. So more than likely what happened with the DNA is that they had the profile, right? They got that back. Then they ran it through CODIS and realized, hey, no match. Okay, well, we have this other tool here. Let's send it into the labs and see if we can run it against any of the genealogy data, okay? So it will load in there. It will compare certain markers. Remember from the DNA video we posted, like all those different markers, and every profile is given with a percentage of likelihood of matching the person you're running against. Well, when you submit that to those profiles, it can attach that profile to second cousins, third cousins, fourth cousins, two families remarried and down your DNA tree.
Wait, Steve, if his dad was already in the system though, then why did they need to go get his dad's DNA?
Because that's not good enough being in the system.
Why wouldn't they just go get Kohberger's DNA? Why get his dad?
I hear you, but that it's probably because they didn't have enough for the warrant. Police can't just do whatever they want.
Why not follow Kohberger and get his DNA?
Because they wouldn't get a judge to sign off on a warrant.
So they got a judge to sign off on his dad?
Absolutely. Using the proof of the genealogy connection. Kohberger's was not up there. They can't just say, hey, judge, I want a warrant to flip this guy's life upside down because his dad's DNA is on here. No, they don't know if that's his real dad. You know how many children get born from, somebody outside of a marriage, things like that, right? So, which most of the time it's the dad, not the mom, obviously. I mean, I feel like everyone understands why. So no, I don't think a judge would sign off on the dad's profile for Kohberger. I do not think so. But they probably signed off to get the dad's.
All I'm saying is they got this tip, okay, about the white Elantra, supposedly, which it didn't even match the year. So that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Do you not agree that doesn't make sense?
What?
Who would call in that tip and why? Because it doesn't match the year. What? And there was 22. there was 22,000 white Hyundai Elantras. So why specifically Kohberger?
How it gets to Kohberger for me isn't that big of a deal.
I think
Because
that's the biggest
for
deal.
me, it doesn't matter. It does not matter
That's the
how
biggest
they
deal.
got to me. It's not. To me, it's not. What matters to me is the evidence that's found at the crime scene. How they got to somebody, in my opinion, like whatever, it's not that big of a deal as long as nobody's rights were squashed. Whatever.
I just find it odd. That's all I'm saying.
I get it, but with genealogy data online, they make connections from family you've never met before, from family you didn't even know were family members. You know what I mean? So for me, it's not weird. As soon as they upload a DNA profile, assuming everything is exactly how it should be, right? That DNA profile is Kohberger's and it was legitimately on the scene. The chain of custody wasn't ever interrupted, messed up. There's no way it could have came anywhere else. We're just strictly talking about that DNA on the sheath, right? I think that they could have connected it from tons of people. You know how many people submit their DNA onto those profiles, dude?
Yeah, I think Liz is right. They don't need a warrant to get DNA from like something you throw away. They do it all the time, from what I've heard.
They
so
don't.
They didn't need a warrant. So still, why the dad?
Because the dad's DNA profile was online.
Okay. So I guess I get what you're saying there. Yeah. But yeah, Pamela, you're right. They said they just wanted to talk to those people with the white Elantra because they thought they had info. And I don't know how many people are in Moscow. What's the population? That is what Chief Fry said on the news. So
well, it's not.
I think that's more than the population. So I'm assuming they're taking that in like the whole state into account, maybe even Washington. I don't know.
It absolutely is taking into account Washington. 100% absolutely. What I would assume is that they would be taking into account anywhere within a 3-hour driving distance is what I would assume.
The sheath is sketchy, and maybe it doesn't matter so much how they got to him. Maybe that doesn't matter as much, but I think it's shady, because it's just shady.
I'm not saying there's not questions about how it got to him. And I'm not responding to you, Ian. I was responding to Malia, but I'm not like how they got to him can be brought up to get a case thrown out. Okay. But like the case is there. These questions have risen. And more than likely, it's going to a trial, okay? So my big concern is the evidence that's going to be used in this case. Is it reliable, valid, trustworthy evidence that our justice system should feel good about presenting, right? Or is it not? I think once they start using the genealogical data, I think they could connect anybody to anything. I think it is literally like a magic card. You know what I mean?
And okay, go ahead. Answer his comment.
Yeah,
Right. Why didn't they get DNA from his apartment? But I get what you're saying.
Because they can't enter the apartment.
Confirming that it's his dad's DNA.
Right.
I get what you're saying.
They had to confirm all of that first to get the judge to sign off on a warrant to flip his life upside down. That is what I think happened. And that's why we see Ann Taylor fighting the DNA so hard, because she wants to understand how they had enough evidence to have a judge sign off on a warrant to flip Kohberger's life upside down. Okay. And my big, when I'm looking at the DNA, my biggest question is, okay, so they got the dads from the trash, right? What evidence did they have that presented enough concern to the judge for the judge to sign off on going after Kohberger? That's my big question within that. And that doesn't have anything to do with the DNA profiling. That doesn't have anything to do with that. There's just no confirmation that Kohberger is his father's son that's speculation essentially. And they got a judge to sign off on the warrants of arresting him, searching his premises and everything else that comes with it, his car, his parents' house, everything, from an assumption that his father is his father. You know what I mean? Based on the DNA profile that they got from the trash and whatever.
Liz.
Hey, Amanda.
Hey, Amanda. Liz and Pamela. I've also questioned why, because I think he was on the radar before he left for Pennsylvania.
They say he wasn't, but yes.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
So I also question, like, why didn't they pull him in and question him? Why didn't they do any of that? The reason I think they didn't do any of that, which I know J Ray, who's in the chat most nights, has her own theory on this, but I think they did that because they knew they would not have enough to arrest him, which means they would be tipping off a possible serial killer, which who knows what he'll do once he knows they're on to him. So I think they were waiting to get enough evidence to make an arrest is why they let him leave.
Yeah.
And they kept eyes on him all the way out there.
You're right, Truth. I said that wrong when I was explaining it. Yeah. I said that wrong when I was explaining it, but you're right. They saw the markers in there, which made the assumption that Bryan Kohberger was his son. I'm still surprised that was enough for the judge to sign off, is what I'm getting at. I would think, based on a lot of other cases, that them making that assumption on DNA that's submitted to a website, right? And the DNA that's submitted to these websites, they aren't concrete evidence because there's no guarantee that swab legitimately came from that person that's being submitted. I could order a swab and say, hey, my name's Brendan, and
swab me.
Correct. And submit that. So
and they have no idea.
Right. They have to verify.
Swab another man, maybe.
Right. They get the point. They have to verify that. And I'm just surprised that one DNA profile was enough to arrest, search, and seize.
That makes sense. Confirming it's his dad. You're totally right. So hold on. STEM. I agree with you. There does have to be some level of trust. But he's also innocent until proven guilty, not the other way around. So, I mean, it's okay to have questions. That's all we're doing here. And we appreciate everybody's opinion. So please feel free, if you have a certain opinion that opposes ours or anybody else's, to say it. We're not bought in on him being innocent or guilty. No. We want the evidence. We want the evidence, and we want to see where it goes. But I don't feel like all roads lead to Kohberger personally. Yeah.
And right now, I'll be the first one to be up front. So there have been already too many mistakes made in this case. So when I look at evidence from this case, I look at it from a very critical standpoint because there have already been so many mistakes made in this case, in my opinion, when you're comparing it to other cases. And that has nothing to do with his innocence or guilt. It just has to do with the fact that I believe we had a law enforcement, a police department that had no experience for a case of this size, no experience for a crime this particular and well thought out. And I don't think that it was managed correctly. And I feel like the only way to look at this evidence is through a critical lens right now.
Yeah. So I think that's very possible, Liz, that it could have been obtained illegally. It's possible. I'm not going to say that it's not. Hey, Heathen Coalition. Good to see you. And Mike Applegate, what's up? All right.
Yeah, I think they did confirm. I'm pretty sure that I saw confirmation evidence that his dad's profile is submitted, though.
It's submitted into one of those systems.
Yes. Whether they used that or figured it out later, I'm not sure. But I believe so. I believe so. And it wasn't only his dad's. I believe it was his sister's too.
Yeah, Mom, you got some explaining to do if it wasn't actually his dad.
Yeah, we've went through those.
Here, go down though. Like press down so that it refreshes.
Okay, so going back to this. So I'll finish this part and then we'll talk about it. But Steve was not done. He took a series of photographs documenting Jack's unblemished state. It was exculpatory evidence that would come in handy, he felt, as the authorities proceeded to compile their list of suspects. So I don't think I finished this statement when I first read this. Essentially what happened is Jack went over to their house within the first week after the crime had happened. And Kaylee's dad, Steve, said, "Hey, show me your body, bro."
Strip.
I mean, that's not what it says here. But
I know.
He said, "Show me your body, bro." And he pulled up his arms, and I would have made him strip. Me personally,
I would've.
100%. I would have been like, "We're both guys. Like, get over it, man. You know, you're alive." So I don't care about that. But he checked him. He checked him. He took pictures. He looked for bruising. He looked for knife slip wounds. He looked for defensive wounds. And he simultaneously took pictures while he was doing it. That's pretty wild. I understand it. I get it. I would probably do the same thing if I was in his position, but I still think that's pretty wild. Don't you guys?
Yeah.
Hey,
I mean,
J. Ray.
I think I would have done the same.
Yeah.
I would have done the same.
If
I think
had
it was
any doubt.
very smart. I think it was very smart that he did that.
Agreed. I think it was smart. And personally, he is a BA. You're right.
He
And
is.
I have a lot of respect for him. Like I said, I really do, even though there are things in here that I'm going to question from a critical standpoint. I have a ton of respect for the man.
I do too. And he was ready to turn that town upside down to find out who did this. And I mean, it's a man lost, grieving, distraught, and wanting answers. And he's clearly very smart.
I know.
He did a good job investigating. He clearly found a lot in the beginning.
I thought this same thing, Waterbug, that so after I got done reading this, I took like 5 minutes to think about it. And it is totally written from an entertainment point of view. Because there are not specific details in here. I would have loved to have heard he came over exactly 5 days after the crime, right? But that's not in here. And this is the only place that says this. Nowhere else talks about this. This is an interview and details that only he has. So I'm not sure. I believe in the beginning it says within the first week. So I don't know if that was a day after. I don't know if that was 7 days after. I don't know, but it's all vague.
I mean, truth, they didn't get a full DNA profile without running it through a computer over and over and over again, which will fill in gaps. So I think that's important. Like, you don't just have DNA and that's all of it there and it's just available to you, especially with touch DNA. There will be pieces missing.
Yeah.
And the computer, the algorithms will fill it in themselves, which they make mistakes.
Yeah, they do. And also one really good thing to remember too, and you guys, as you're coming in, I'm super stoked everyone's coming in here to hang out with us. Hit that like button, and if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. But yeah, one good thing to remember about the DNA profile is our video, which I'm not going to hop over because it won't let me share both screens, but is that when they're trying to look for a DNA profile to match somebody, it is 0.1% out of 8 billion base pairs, you guys. So a human body has 8 billion base pairs, and the matching percentage of that 8 billion is 0.1%. So they're looking for 8 million base pairs that they can match to another profile. 0.1% is so tiny. That is so tiny. So I don't think people understand how hard of a job it is making a match, right? They have to find a perfectly good, not degraded 0.1% of a base chain out of, that has 8 million base chains out of 8 billion.
I want to say hi to J Ray. Hey, J Ray. Well, I was wondering where you were. I needed your help earlier. Well, actually, I still haven't even found the answer to my question. Do you know, J Ray, when they obtained the DNA from the knife sheath? Like what the date was on that? Or at least when we knew about it? Because we're trying to figure out, because in this article, they claim that they got a DNA swab, that MPD did a lie detector test on Jack DeCoeur and also did a buccal swab in his mouth and tested it against the DNA from the crime scene, and that he passed and it was cleared. So
but that doesn't match the timeline.
It doesn't match the timeline.
What I heard is that they didn't get the DNA. They didn't find the DNA on the sheath button until like 2.5 weeks or 2 weeks plus after the crime had occurred. Jack was cleared 10 days after the crime. So, yeah. In the days followed, Steve tracked down Hunter Johnson, which we knew this part. Just before noon on November 13th, Johnson had been summoned by the two distraught survivors to the King Road house where he had discovered Ethan's body.
Can't tell if I'm too hot or too cold.
Steve also made a point of knocking on the doors of houses adjacent to the murder scene and interrogating the neighbors. He was going hard, you guys. Steve was going hard. If that is what we're seeing, he was going hard there. And we know that his other daughter was too at the time.
Oh, yeah.
So,
mm-hmm.
This is that interview that we were talking about. Yeah,
they would have had to have watched him, come out of the house with whatever he had in his hand and drop it in the trash. Like they have to know which one it is. Like in the Truth and Transparency interview of Vargas, Gabriel Vargas.
No, Truth. I wouldn't. I would do the same thing.
That they got, so there was this case she was working on. They bring her, not her exactly, but they bring a cigarette butt to the lab. They extract DNA from it. They give it to her to match to somebody. And she's like, she couldn't get anything from it, or there was some kind of mistake. And she's like, this isn't right. You clearly got the wrong cigarette butt. And they're like, oh, there's no way we did. No way. And eventually they go back out and they realize, oh yeah, we picked up the wrong cigarette butt.
Yeah.
They have to watch it come from that person.
I mean,
they're supposed to.
I don't think they need to. I think that
how do you know that's that person's DNA?
Because they already had a supposed match on a website. That's why I'm saying that website is important, that his dad's DNA was uploaded there. That is a very big deal, pointing them to the direction that they needed to go to verify it. I think that they could have found Bryan's or his dad's, obviously, and matched it. They happened to find his dad's before Bryan's, and there are enough genetic markers in a father's DNA for them to know if the son is that person or not. You know what I mean?
Well,
so it's
they
in
got
their
it from
house.
the neighbor's trash can.
I get it.
They watched him throw it in the neighbor's trash can.
I get it, but in that house, didn't they have 4 people? His sister, Bryan, mom, and dad.
I don't know if a sister was there. He has 2.
I think so. I think she
sisters.
was, because there were supposedly comments she made during the arrest. So I'm pretty sure one of them was there. Quote me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure one of them was there. So they had a 1 in 2 shot of getting the right DNA once they knew that trash bag came from their house. I think it's pretty likely that they would be able to get it. You know what I mean?
The only thing I heard was they got his name from IGG tip on December 19th. So if everything as they said it is everything as they said it was, which I don't believe, it would have had to have been at least before the date. Okay.
Yeah.
That's how they said that they got him connected to this crime, was an IGG tip.
No. Not officially. Not officially. There was a tip that I believe was confirmed, but their official story is the DNA profile.
Yes, Ian, they do need to see the person that drops the item.
Yes, I hear you. I get it. But
I was waiting for to drop something.
And I agree with you guys when they're doing an investigation into somebody that has DNA unknown. However, they knew because of that website information, they already had a baseline DNA. All they had to know is that trash was coming out of that house. That's all they needed to know. And then they could have took random samples on things like pizza crust, whatever could have DNA. I don't know, a tissue, you know what I mean? Whatever. And they would have a 1 in 2 shot of getting the right DNA.
How did they know it would be their own DNA in the trash? I know.
Well, they watched him throw it away in that trash. They watched him
throw it away. Samples like that are twice the price of a buccal swab. That makes sense. It takes more work, I'm sure.
He is furious that Kohberger's trial had been scheduled to start in October, has been postponed indefinitely. What?
Go ahead.
For one cruel example, early on, an enticing tip came his way, according to the text from a source he described as a jailhouse snitch. Now, I did this separately, you guys, because, whoa. How do I undo that?
Edit. It's edit, undo. Edit, undo. What? Okay, let me see. Let go for a second.
Okay. Dude, back. Just hit back.
Dang, Brendan. You really messed that one up.
I didn't do that. I have no idea.
How did that happen?
Got me.
You broke it. That's right.
I did break it. So that's okay. We can still see this. So
what? It's because you're high. Okay.
Dude, this is not how I was highlighting earlier. Something's messed up. It's like it's in backwards mode or whatever. So, okay, going back to this. I won't let this pull us off our focus here. So, jailhouse snitch, okay? Everybody has said this whole time, with all the amount of times that Steve has come out and made like very assumptive statements, right? Like he's always suggesting something. Everyone has felt like that he's meaning something different. Like he's trying to secretly tell us something, right? So where could this information came from? From somebody in jail?
A jailhouse snitch.
Like?
Who?
Come on, you guys, make the connection. You guys watch the video.
Oh, are you talking about one of the moms?
Yeah. That is totally what I'm talking about. Yeah.
So basically they're saying their leads are dwindling in the case and they get a tip from a jailhouse snitch.
Yep. That's what he says. So when this guy is when Howard Blum is writing, he's trying to make it sound like it's somebody just giving a tip, okay? But why a jailhouse snitch? We have 2 moms that are in jail right now, you guys, for drug charges. You know what I mean? I think there's something to that. I really do. I really do.
Interesting. What would she have given him?
Oh, that's a horrible way of managing that, Amanda. So, what would she have given him? Hey, so for those of you that are new, I suggest you go and watch this video, okay? Not right now, but hang on. Give me 1 second here.
And I didn't get to say hi to you, Joanne. Hi, Joanne.
Oh, Joanne. Hello, hello. Super stoked to have you in here. I know you don't always have the time to be in here. I'm happy when you are.
Yes, we appreciate your insight.
Indeed. Okay, so hang on, guys. I almost got it here, I think. So, yes. Okay. They need to make this sharing this screen easier. Yep, got it. Okay, so this video right here, you need to watch this and you'll know what I'm talking about in this jailhouse snitch comment. Okay.
Okay, it is on the screen.
Yep. Jailhouse snitch comment. And there's a couple other things that are said in here that make me feel.
If you can't read it, it's the drug theory video from 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Drug theory.
Idaho4 they should be able to read the thumb.
It's kind of tiny. If someone's on a phone, they may not be able to read
So
it.
I'll tell you, I never read titles ever. So someone has to sell me on the thumb or I'm not watching the video.
I get it, but the thumb is kind of small too, like if you're on a phone. So I'm just saying.
You made the lettering too small.
No, I didn't. The lettering is huge. Thank you very much.
If you can't see it, then it's too small.
Dude, look how tiny that is on our screen. Stop it.
But yeah, anyways, you guys go watch that video, okay? And you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Watch it with this in mind, a jailhouse snitch. So Steve was feeling like he didn't have any leads. He didn't know where to go. He didn't have anything like that. And then he got a tip about or from a jailhouse snitch, okay? How many people does Steve know in jail? 3 at least, right? His brother, his ex, and one of the other moms.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And 2 of those people had deals given. 2 of those people were on a 3-strike life sentence on drug charges and had their charges reduced and then reapplied right before and or right after the crime happened.
It's not his ex. He got it mixed up, I think. It's the stepmom and it's Maddie's stepmom and Xana's mom.
Yeah. What?
You said his ex. Steve's ex. That's not what you
meant.
No.
No. That's not what I meant. I'm sorry.
Ex.
Yeah. I'm sorry, guys.
I knew what he meant, but yeah, that was confusing. No, he means the stepmom and Xana's mom.
You got to correct me quick because sometimes my mind gets going and that's my issue you're seeing. You know what's funny, you guys, is
that's weird to call her a jailhouse snitch though.
You know that
I say it too? It's because I knew what he meant. I wasn't thinking. I just knew what he meant.
You know that drip,
Sorry.
You know Drip Drop's new video that came out where he intentionally says Goncalves' last name wrong like 10 times? Why do you think that is?
I don't know.
Got me either, because in all his other videos he says Goncalves right, and then in this one he says Goncalves.
That's how I always said it on accident when I mispronounced it, was Goncalves.
Yeah, maybe he was watching this and he was making fun of you.
Yeah, maybe he was making fun of me.
That'd be so funny.
Because he knows I watch his videos.
That would be so funny.
That would be funny.
Oh, good. It didn't do everything. Okay, so am I missing anything?
Oh, maybe he said a jailhouse snitch to not get sued, because I feel like that's weird to just say a jailhouse snitch. Why wouldn't he say like a friend or like another family member or another, victim family member?
To not get sued, to not give
any information away?
No, to make sure that he's not at risk of losing his life. What do you mean?
Oh, okay.
He has another daughter to worry about, man. That's serious accusations, very serious accusations.
You're right.
To be making and connecting.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Did you mean Howard Blum not to get sued, J. Ray? Who to not get sued?
Oh, I didn't even see what J. Ray said. My bad.
I saw just question marks about not getting sued.
El Chapo's jail cell.
Oh, for Drip Drop not to get sued? Okay. Sorry.
I don't know. What? You think so? Dude, people can't sue content creators. Like, they try to all the time, but they never stick. It never sticks.
No, because all content creators say they're speculating.
You don't even have to say you're speculating. You don't have to. I know a lot of people do that and it makes them feel better, but you do not have to say you're speculating. So this is what Steve says, okay? And oh man, where is that one piece? Okay, so one, the internet theories suggesting that a drug ring had been involved in the killings were ludicrous. So he's talking about us directly right there, okay, guys?
What? Oh. He's talking about our drug theory video.
Yep, he is. He's talking about our drug theory video.
I wonder if Steve has seen it.
He says, this is what he says. No pro is going to rough up someone not knowing who all is in the house. Okay, you guys. So so going back to the drug video, if you guys are new here, we've talked about this before, so I will quickly go through it. So with that drug video, that drug theory video that we posted, I know that we showed a lot of references to like cartel-based activity, but I want you guys to know that that video does not suggest cartel involvement. That is not where I was going with that. I do not think that an off-college student housing would have been involved directly with the cartel, you guys. The reason why it's important to look at cartel activity is because other crime follows that. It does not mean, just because the cartel is somewhere, does not mean that everything in that area is cartel related. It simply means that other crime follows that, because gangs and criminals and addicts and all these other people that are part of the crime world follow where the dope is, right? So I do not think that this was some pro sent in there, because I agree that if there was cartel involvement, nobody would be living. Nobody at all. Okay. They clear houses in a very brutal, very quick way. And for two, though, switching to a different theory here where he says no pro is going to rough up someone not knowing who all is in the house. So one, they would do that. And there is a lot of evidence out there showing that they will absolutely enter a house without doing any reconnaissance or anything because
they'll just kill everybody.
Correct. They'll go in there with guns out. We saw that most recent video. I think, what is it, Northern California or Oregon with the infant. Okay. And if you haven't seen that, I don't want to get into the story right now, but it was a confirmed hit. And there was involvement in that family, and they wiped out everybody, okay, including an infant, unfortunately. So, yes, he's right that if it was that type of crime, everybody would be wiped out, in my opinion, and based off of my experience dealing with people like that in my past. But there are gangs that follow that, because where there's cartel, there's dope. Where there's dope, there's gangs. Where there's gangs, there's criminals. Where there's dope, there's addicts. You know what I mean? All these things come together. So I think a non-professional hit person could also have gone in this house and done what they did.
I saw your email, Anne, and yes, that is really interesting. We're going to have to bring that up at some point. What kind of, hi Rumsey, I saw you joined. What kind of bombs was Lana dropping tonight? I didn't get to watch because I'm here.
Yeah,
and
the weekend is my editing time.
Yeah, it is editing time, and we're doing a lot on the weekends. But I did see that Lana has been getting feisty, man, and she's been dropping a lot in the past few days. So shout out to her. I thought she said some really interesting stuff yesterday too. Or maybe it was the day before.
If there's one person that at least over the past month we've been giving the most shout outs to, it is Lana. I think that she has a certain level of intuition that not a lot of people have.
Yeah.
There are people out there, and she says I'm one of them. I don't know. I only know my own experience, but people that make connections like very easily, right? You can look at a situation and you can connect dots very easily, just that intuitive nature. And she's absolutely one of them. So yeah, we've been giving her a shout out quite a bit. My only thing with that, Joanne, because I agree. It appears like that. It really appears like that. So when we see a crime that is done in revenge, jealousy, and anger, it is spur of the moment. And this was not a spur of the moment because of the pre-planning. There was a certain level of pre-planning.
I was trying to find what Anne was asking. Maybe you were just question marking about the email, but yes, I said I saw it. It was crazy. Lana is truth and transparency.
Yes. I think on our most recent video, we put, we tagged her in there. So yeah, the Venmo's weird, but I think the Venmo can also be written off as, yes, TNT. Correct. Yep. Can be written off as a bunch of college kids messing around too. So that's a hard one also. You know what I mean? It can very easily go either direction.
Oh, didn't we just post our video of the search warrants talking about Venmo?
I'm sorry. I didn't finish what I was saying. ADHD rant right there. But the pre-planning for this crime makes me feel like it wasn't jealousy. Like the actual attacks itself make me feel like it could have been jealousy, but the planning beforehand makes me feel like it wasn't, and the planning during. So it was very calculated, intentional, and controlling a crime scene. And that is not conducive with jealous rage and passion. Yeah. That's the only thing that throws me off there. And I don't think that that means it's not those things. I think that you could have somebody that has a very high IQ that could pre-plan that and could control that crime scene in that way because of a motivation of jealousy, rage, and passion. But it's just, that's so rare, so rare.
Yeah, BK's a police intern. Plan, not spur of the moment.
We'll watch it. We'll watch it for sure.
Yeah, we will. I usually watch her lives because I like to support her too. I really like her.
Me too. Yeah. So I think so. You guys, we started doing a spotlight every week. So this week we started it off with Harsh. You guys will have to check it out when 42 comes out, episode 42. And maybe next week we'll do Truth and Transparency because just because she's awesome, you know.
Yeah, we started a creator highlight where we're gonna shout somebody out just because we feel like the true crime community is really separated, and not just people that agree, everybody.
Yes. So explain to me how a hitman missed Ethan and Kaylee's car. So to be fair, a hitman wouldn't be swayed by that, you guys. A hitman would know that. So I've met hitman before, or have been willing to be that, right? And looking at a college house, they're not thinking they're going to walk in there and have a bunch of guns pointed in their faces or have a bunch of weapons that could harm them. That is their number one concern walking into any house is, are they going to be walking into a situation where they could get hurt themselves or not succeed in their plan of action, right? So I don't think looking at 19 or 20-year-olds cars parked in the driveway would deter a professional hitman. I really don't. Not at all.
No.
And I also think a professional hitman, though, would have went with a gun. So the kids, he pointed out, could go down a street in 8 miles. Oh, okay, so this is continuation of the drug theory. So one of the examples he gives, did you get this far in this? So one of the examples he makes is he says that it doesn't make sense that it's drug related because the kids could just drive 8 miles across the state line and go to a weed shop. Yeah, nobody's talking about weed.
Nobody's talking about weed.
No, nobody's talking about weed.
Oh my gosh. Why is it? Maybe because he doesn't think they would use anything stronger than that. I don't know. Maybe it's some bias in there, not wanting to think that the kids would do that.
Maybe. STEM, what creators? Because we'll promote all creators, literally everybody, for real. I am not against promoting any creators. I think that content creation is an art form, and people that put a lot of time and energy into it, it should be appreciated. So I'm hoping we'll get to a point where we've spotlighted tons of different creators, and we're open for suggestions. So shoot a comment or something with a creator that you think we should check out and look at, and we'll promote them for sure on there.
Yeah.
And what's nice is our podcast goes on all the podcast platforms, so they're gonna get viewers that they didn't previously get before, which is nice. It's awesome being able to offer that. Sorry.
Hey, Cynthia. What case is this? Which case? We're talking about Idaho4 right now. This is the new Howard Blum article that just came out. And he's talking about Steve early on in the investigation after the murders, like Steve's own investigation where he pulled Jack DeCoeur. Well, Jack DeCoeur came to the home.
Yep.
And he made him show him his body to see if he had any injuries within the first week after the crime. Also talking about and took pictures of his body and couldn't find any injuries. Also, he said that the Moscow PD took a lie detector test of Jack DeCoeur and also a DNA swab. And compared it to what they found on the scene, and that he passed with flying colors. Well, we were questioning how. they compare the DNA that early on in the case,
Yeah.
like within the first week or two, because from what we know, they didn't have the DNA profile yet.
So, yes.
It's spelled Blum, Pamela. It may be pronounced Bloom, but we had this whole thing with people thinking I was talking about literally Howard Bloom spelled that way, and that guy is crazy. Okay, just being honest. And it's not. It's Blum.
Yep.
Watch his foul language. That's a good point.
Yeah. Grace, yeah, maybe. I don't think that I've been super transparent about like how deep of a criminal past that I have from when I was younger. But I've been around people who have done things like that, and it's not like TV or movies where they go in like all quiet and with a silencer. They will literally just walk up in a house with no silencer and not say anything, because they know that when something happens like that, most people are afraid to speak up, man. But then again, that is a certain area of a hood, you know? So,
I think Harsh would respect that we don't want a bunch of cussing on our, channel. I don't think that's a problem.
On a live, it's different though, and he did mention he was interested in coming on here once he gets back into doing lives again, which would be awesome.
Yeah.
But even if he did cuss, it's all right. We just wouldn't turn on monetization, because that's really that's my big thing, you guys, is we want to grow. We want to be able to reach multiple people and get to a point where we're doing interviews all the time, with really important people to mainstream cases and things like that. And language can hold you back with marketing and growth and things like that.
Yeah, and
unfortunately,
the really cool thing about the creator spotlight is that we're reaching out to these creators and we're asking them why they do what they do, why it's important to them. And Harsh had a really good answer.
Amazing.
Like,
you guys are gonna have to watch it.
A really good answer in his email back to us, and it really showed who he is behind the camera. I think I really liked it.
I loved it.
I know the cussing thing for monetization is kind of silly to me, but it makes sense. And some people don't like a lot of cussing. So
yeah, well, it's just like mainstream TV, they talk about true crime and murder and all that good stuff. But yeah, so, but look, he's totally talking about us right here. He meant to say there are two people who are really crazy talking about the drug theory. I think that's a typo. Two people are really crazy who are talking about the drug theory.
You don't like Rascal, Ian?
He's saying, yeah.
Rascal.
Okay, so
I'm just gonna start saying Rascal a lot.
This is interesting. So, but not all of Steve's investigative efforts have been in vain. He had assembled a retinue. Retinue.
What? Where?
Yeah, retinue of blue chip sources. Which weird that you use blue chip. He revealed to several friends, including an FBI agent in the St. Louis office, who had shared his personal email so that his bosses in the bureau wouldn't learn that he was communicating with Steve.
Hey, Riddler.
That's strange. And that is totally not okay. Are you sure that you were talking to an FBI agent, Steve?
God.
Because that's not okay, dude.
No, it's not.
The FBI, so it is so hard to get into the FBI, guys. Normally what they do is they pull people directly out of the military, okay? You have to go through a panel. I forget if it's 3 or 5. It's either 3 or 5 lie detector tests. And your job in the FBI depend on you passing those lie detector tests. And some of the questions that they ask are things like, have you ever been angry at your country before? While you were angry, what have you thought about doing to your country before in the past? Can you confirm that? You know, like these questions are really wild questions that multiple people could get thrown off for. So for an FBI agent to go out of their way, right, and share a personal email address to what? Share personal information about this, or not personal, confidential information about this case with Steve?
Ugh. And how did the guy from St. Louis how was he involved?
Oh, good call out, Mike. You're right. That totally passed me. You're right. They do monitor everything. You're right. On their phones, they have to download a certain it's almost like that Google Manage for kids. Yes, I am crazy. But it's almost like that Google Manage for kids, and they track everything going in and out of phones. Good call, Mike. Man.
Yeah.
I actually have spoken to a leader of a foreign country before.
You have?
Yeah, I have.
You would have done that if you were in the FBI, Ian? Good thing you're not in the FBI.
Yeah. They would have caught you.
Yeah, a lot of people have questions around Anon Harsh, and he's odd. I'll give it that.
He's a weird dude.
He's a weird dude.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's being paid or not, though. I just don't know about that kid. I think he just wanted attention.
I think he wanted attention too, and bro, if anyone fits incel theory, you know, and I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not meaning it in a jerk way, but that, so you know about the ad he posted, right? What Enan posted?
An ad?
An ad. So apparently he had like an extra room or something like that, and he posted an ad saying that essentially a girl could move in and they could work something out with rent. Like it was totally asking for favors.
Okay. That's gross. Jerry said because they had remote FBI agents filtering through the tips. That's a good point. Yeah, that's totally possible. How an FBI agent in St. Louis would have been able to give him information. And yes, Joanne, how is he talking about grand jury info and not getting in trouble? I don't know.
Because it's not.
Maybe he will get in trouble. Maybe it's not legit. Maybe.
Yeah. No, J Ray. I know that there's. I'm not so worried about the where he's at being in St. Louis. St. Louis isn't a big deal because they had FBI agents sprawled all across the U.S. that were working on this, and with the CAST team too, there aren't any CAST agents in the FBI that are from that area, so there were FBI agents all over the place. I'm not so concerned with St. Louis as much as I am with him having a connection to somebody in St. Louis and that somebody using a personal email.
Yeah.
So how he made the connection with somebody in St. Louis and built a close enough personal relationship that supposedly that St. Louis agent gave him a personal email.
Okay, I see what you're saying now, Ian. Maybe that's it.
Yeah. All right, so the interesting part, okay?
J-Ray disagrees, just so you know. Why do you disagree, J-Ray?
The interesting part here.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Kohberger had purchased a dark blue Dickies long-sleeved work uniform at the Walmart in Pullman, Washington. Not long before the murders, Steve had learned. Wow. The authorities had a copy of a $49.99 receipt. And they also now had a theory to explain how Kohberger had managed to escape from the crime scene without a scratch and without leaving an incriminating drop of blood in his getaway car or his apartment. He had worn the work uniform during the murders, and then he had disrobed before he got behind the wheel of his Hyundai Elantra for his circuitous drive back to his apartment. Perhaps the authorities hypothesized he had stuffed the work suit into a plastic garbage bag and then shoved it into the trunk. Okay, so we had talked about this for a little bit, okay? And you had mentioned that there's no belt loops on Dickies, but I'm going a completely different direction with this, okay? I wore Dickies my entire life, you guys. Like, it was Dickies and button-ups, like what I'm wearing now. Like, that was my uniform for a long time. Dickies material are not water repellent. They are extremely thin. They are huge and in the way. Those bodysuits are not form-fitting.
No,
they have
they're not.
huge gaps in their arms. They have huge gaps in their necks. They have huge gaps along the zipper if you have a zipper, or the buttons separate if you have a button, and everything absorbs. This wouldn't do anything, you guys. Literally nothing. Here, I'll pull up Dickies. Are Dickies...
Look up a Dickies work suit.
I am.
Didn't they say coveralls though?
No.
Dickies long-sleeved work uniform. Okay.
How do I open in a new? Okay, there we go. Now, hang on. Okay.
Long sleeve coveralls.
Bro.
$49.99 to $52. What are the features of this? It's definitely not form-fitting. It's got pockets, no belt loops. Go down to the features.
Grease, grime, dirt, insulation. These are some of the things that stand no chance against. Why are they showing a welder here? This suit cannot be used while welding. Basic blended coverall. These coveralls handle just about anything your work can throw at it. Durable yet breathable. Polyester cotton. Twill resists fading. Wrinkles and stains. Heavy duty. Two-way front brass zipper with concealed snap at neck and waist stays flat. Handy ruler tool pocket on the right leg. Expandable comfort waist with elastic inserts keep you comfortable. Generous fit in shoulders and chest. Essentially, they're just saying it's huge. 7.75 ounce twill, 65% polyester, 35% cotton. Handy chest pockets for phone and more. Large back pockets for bar tack for durability, elastic inserts at waist. Okay.
These are more for like greasy type jobs. And as like a
it's just not for water repellent.
It's not for water, right?
So blood, you guys, would go right into it. Right into it. There would still be DNA everywhere. Literally everywhere. There are so many other things that I personally, like, if I'm going into somewhere that has the potential that I'm going to get liquid all over me, okay? I would rather wear jean material than Dickie material. Seriously.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Yeah, Joanne Harsh actually said that, and I thought that was reasonable. Like, that was a reasonable explanation that he was going to Pennsylvania and was planning on giving it to his dad as a Christmas present. We also don't know, did Bryan end up returning these? Are they in? Because they say they can't find them. Like, they haven't found this work suit. They haven't found the K-bar knife, but supposedly they have proof he purchased it. So are there other explanations that they just can't find it? And maybe Anne is going to say, oh, look, here's the work suit. It's in his dad's closet. Or here's the knife. Or no, he never bought those things at all.
Yeah. Well, technically, though, they would have already known to have looked for these things, because before they arrested him, didn't they search his apartment, or did the arrest happen and then the apartment? Someone correct me.
I think it was the arrest and then the apartment.
Okay, then never mind. Never mind then. But yeah, I think there's a very logical explanation to it. And where was that? Oh, right here. Yes. So, this isn't like what I'm leaning on is, regardless why he had this, and I don't think him having it is a big deal. What's important is that nobody could sell me on the fact that this is going to be good for a crime of that nature. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. So Riddler said the PCA. I don't know why you grabbed the mouse when I'm trying to show something.
Because I'm trying to go through
PCA says
this.
DNA on the sheath was found by a lab in Idaho. Howard Blum says it was found by a lab in Texas. That's
it's
true.
Definitely found by. I mean, I definitely believe that the Texas story in that situation myself, and not because that benefits Bryan, but when you look at the lineup and like where the chain of custody was for that item, based on the firsthand accounts and the evidence of that vacuum research, I forget who it was. Who was it that pulled up that crime lab in that Texas town, where on their website they literally talk about that vacuum process, and that vacuum process was on multiple media articles during that time. Because that's what sells me on it is, okay, so it's general knowledge that they couldn't find anything on the snap. Okay, so they disassembled the snap and used a vacuum process to suck the DNA particles up and then test those DNA particles. That's not something that Idaho State Lab is going to have. That's not sitting there at Idaho State Lab. That's new, brand new. Brand new.
And hey, Casey, I saw you hopped on. Yeah, I don't know why this is also, it says that it's a dark blue Dickies suit. Now, I guess Dylan could have saw it as black at night. That's totally possible. But she said all black. So, just wondering, like how dark is that one?
I think
it could have been seen as black. I'm not like, I totally get that. What do you guys think about that? Like the fact that it's blue. I wonder how dark it was in the house that night. Like, because didn't they always have that neon sign on? And that would have been right by Dylan's room, right?
So I have a couple big concerns with the suit that's different than that, because I think that this dark of navy, this was one of my favorite colors to wear when I wore Dickies literally every day. Every day was Dickie shorts. Like that was it, you know? And easily could be seen as black. Easily. Absolutely 100%. If someone was wearing a dark blue suit and they saw it at night with lights off and everything like that, it's very easily seen as black. I'll give that all day long. But my thing is because of the shape of it and its generosity in the shoulders and waist and back area, it's going to change the shape of that person. Like huge. It will
Yeah.
reshape them.
Yeah.
Huge. Okay. Bryan's small or fit, however you want to call him, right? But he's a relatively skinny guy. And this is going to make him seem like he's much bigger than he actually is, right? And she made the claim that she believed he was 5'10", which watch the video that we have coming out. I think that there's some evidence in that video. I'm actually going to have to add in a little clip because of that leading.
What?
I was just talking to myself. Yeah, a leading question. How tall am I? I'm like, I don't know, like 4'10". So, hey, Violetta. Hello, and hello, everybody else. If I didn't say hi, I'm sorry. I'm ranting here. So, all right. I just have a big problem with this because of the shape. So here, let me click back over to this, show you what I'm talking about. Look at that. Look at how that guy, imagine Bryan in that.
I know. I thought
Dude.
the same thing. And she said that he was slim. Like, would she really have noticed he was slim if he was in that suit?
This guy,
maybe he looks pretty slim.
Maybe, I don't know.
It's not very padded. If it was more padded, then
to me that does not look slimming in any way.
It's
like
not
there's
slimming, but
well, I mean, there's no waist. Not slimming, obviously, but there is literally no waist. You're a giant cylinder. And there's only regular or tall. So more than likely for the picture, these have been tailored in.
Yeah, Casey, I don't think it could have been Carhartt because they said it was Dickies.
Yeah,
they're
saying that
the neon sign makes me think, you know.
They're saying that they have a receipt, okay? And yes, honker, giant cylinder. They're saying that they have a receipt, that these are Dickies. So interesting. I have big concerns with it, okay? This is one of the things that make me have major question marks with this story. Like major question marks with this story. And the reason why, you guys, just looking at it from a critical standpoint, is the whole time that this case has been going on, we have seen the prosecution paint a picture, right? We have seen the police let out specific information and details that is going to benefit the prosecution storyline. However, this has never been heard of. Never. It's not in any of the documents. It's not in anything, you guys. Literally nothing. So, do I have a lot of faith in the validity of this? No, I don't. And my big thing here is this would not have kept him from us getting a scratch. So it says in here, right here, look. So, and they now also had a theory to explain how Kohberger managed to escape from the crime scene without a scratch and without leaving an incriminating drop of blood in his getaway car or his apartment.
Yeah, I call BS on that.
It goes even beyond that. Like, it's not possible. It's not even opinion. It is not possible.
He had to be suited up like he's going into a like toxic waste to not get anything on his shoes. Like, you know what I'm saying?
It would have to be plastic.
Yeah.
The
It would have to
only
be
option
plastic.
is plastic. That is the only option.
Or that he didn't take the car. Like, the car can't, I feel like we can't have it both ways. He either didn't use the car at all and did kill them, or it's somebody else.
No, this wouldn't have worked at all because there was no evidence trailing through the house.
Oh.
That's my thing here, is they're trying to make it seem like, well, this makes sense because he could have done the crimes and then taken that thing off and then been clean. No, not possible. Whatever liquid got on this would seep through and get on him.
So there weren't even blood drips like going out of a certain door or anything?
According to what we've seen so far, no. According to what we've seen so far, no. It was a Dickie's shower curtain. Right.
A Dickie shower curtain, Joanne. That's super funny.
Oh, you know what would have been smart, though?
Yeah, like Dexter, Amanda. Exactly.
You know what would have been smart, though? What if he bought this suit, took his shower curtain, cut the shower curtain, and made his own shower curtain suit using this as a guide, and then returned this?
Why wouldn't you just like Google blueprints or make your own pattern, like measure your own body? And
No
make a
way. That's
pattern?
not how I would do it. I would want a live sample of, so I can literally just lay it out and cut it.
That's not how patterns work. You have to have enough inches off to the side.
That is how patterns work for people that don't have any experience in making clothing. Okay. So trust me, that would be my go-to. For real. Okay. I mean, I've done it a bunch of times where I want like an outline of clothing or something like that, and I just use a piece of clothing, you know? Yeah. I was totally joking, but
right,
it went over your head.
It did go over my head. He would need to be in plastic. So, Truth, have you seen his inmate paperwork showing that he's 6 foot even?
Bro, he's 6'3".
Because they don't. Have they measured you? I've never been measured when arrested.
That's super funny.
Have you been measured when arrested?
Yeah.
Did they measure your height?
Yeah.
They didn't measure mine.
Then you were just going in a drunk tank.
Oh, interesting.
Then they weren't expecting to charge you with anything.
They did charge me.
Well,
they did.
I don't.
Maybe
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I think you're right though that they measure you.
They do. They have
this thing on a no.
They have this thing on a wall that you have to stand up next to when you're going through intake, and it's normally
where they do the pictures.
No, that's old school. You're thinking like in the 50s and 60s. They have a ruler up against one of the doors normally, and they say, "Hey, just stand back here." Bap, got you, and going in. And then when you go into jail or prison, they do it all again.
So you can see his arrest intake stuff? Because I've never seen anybody pull that up.
Yeah. Dude, this story that this Dickies coverall is what you need. Hey, what's up, Slayer? This story that these Dickies coveralls gives you everything that you need for this crime is completely absurd, you guys. It's just complete. It is totally ridiculous. Absolutely and totally ridiculous. These are cotton-based clothing. Cotton is an absorbent. It is going to suck everything into that and go through into any clothing that you're wearing underneath. And dude, we heard that lady, the coroner, say that it was like a bomb went off in there.
Yeah.
This isn't gonna help, man.
So they asked your height and weight, Joanne, but they didn't take it when you were arrested? Because I don't think they took mine. And what's up, Slayer?
They definitely took mine for two of them. They did for 2 of them.
Well, so then they don't every time. They probably would have taken,
did I say they did it every time?
I mean, yeah, you said, yeah, they take your measurements. Okay, There's
My bad.
measurements on the wall behind him.
I didn't mean they do it like every time, but I know they do it. But yeah. So, moving on here.
My height on my driver's license has not changed since I was 16. It has not. And I know a lot of people who don't change their height and weight on their driver's license.
Yeah, people have been responding really good, Slayer, with 3.1 subs. So, we appreciate everybody listening, all of you guys. Okay, so only there's no sign of the Dickies outfit. They had a receipt for a K-bar knife he had purchased online months before the killings, but this too had seemingly vanished. Whoa. Okay. One, who keeps receipts for online purchases?
Really odd.
That's super strange.
Especially if you're going to commit murder with it. Why would you keep a receipt?
I'm thinking, why would you keep a receipt anyways? Everything is saved online, which nobody would have had access to. Hey, Cynthia, thank you. Thank you. We appreciate that.
You're the best, Cynthia.
You are. That is awesome.
Scott said Bryan does.
Yeah. I'm just curious why. Okay, so he keeps a receipt. Okay, let's just go down this line of thinking. He buys a K-bar. He keeps a receipt, okay? And they still go into click data and trying to learn and or understand what he was doing on Amazon and these other websites.
Right. So I think maybe they're getting like, okay, we found this receipt, but we didn't actually go look at the website to see if he actually made the purchase or not. And Taylor's definitely going to ask those questions. So we better go find it. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's they didn't confirm.
Maybe.
And
gosh, that's awesome, Cynthia. We appreciate that a lot. What?
And yes, thank you, Riddler. Hit that thumbs up, guys.
Yes. Now remember, guys.
Right, Casey.
The gag order is on, okay? And for the most part, Steve has been following the gag order this whole time. So why all of a sudden is he coming out with this information? That's another thing to look at, right? From another angle. Why would it all of a sudden be okay for him to talk about this?
I don't know either. I don't know. Maybe it's not okay. Maybe when he was saying in Enton, is it Eaton? Enton? I don't even remember.
Yeah.
The Bryan Enton interview, that when he was like, don't make me do it. Don't make me speak up. Maybe this is part of him speaking up. Maybe he feels like something's not going right. I don't know. Maybe he wants the receipt in case the murder was unsuccessful, so he'd return the items and be like, sorry, didn't work.
That's so ridiculous. Yeah, I just have a lot of questions. I'm stuck thinking, why? Okay. Why hasn't this information came directly from Steve's mouth? Is it because this article is entertainment and we're not supposed to be taking this as fact? I just don't know.
J Ray said she loves receipts. And Joanne has a drawer full of receipts.
Okay, but online receipts.
Yeah, are they online?
Think of when a package comes to your house do you look for the receipt in that package and keep that paper receipt?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I definitely don't, unless I'm gonna write it off on taxes, or you know what I mean? Like, that's the only way.
I mean, I still don't.
If he's
I
gonna
don't keep any of it. Everything's electronic.
if he's gonna
Everything.
True, you actually really don't need to
No,
for that.
all of it's saved in your profile.
Yeah.
Which is what they're looking for right now. Is they're looking for profile information. They're looking for click data.
Thank you, Amanda. Yeah, this article is wild.
Here, let me highlight what Joanne said. Where was that? Right there. So, exactly. So, is it true?
Right.
Is it true?
Right.
It's not okay what Steve G is doing. And this is Joanne. It's not okay what Steve G is doing. Anyone else would be arrested unless this isn't true. Right? With a gag order. So not online receipts. Right. That's what I'm thinking. Because when you purchase something online, okay, let's assume we just hop on here on Amazon or anywhere. It doesn't matter where. And we buy a K-bar, okay? So that's a knife. I'm assuming it's either going to come really wrapped really good and come in one of those bubble packages, or it'll come in a small box or whatever. And then the paper receipt, if there even is one, will be inside of that. When I get that package, I open that package up, look for my item, pull it out, and anything else that's in there, I usually don't even look at it.
That's interesting. You know what? I didn't really think about that before. Does anyone else agree or not that since the address was 1122 and the murders happened in 11/20/22, was that pre-planning or coincidence?
So Drip Drop really leans on the idea of numerology. And we've talked about this before where like numerology is cool. I dig it. I'm into it. I like reading that stuff and everything. But when it comes to crime, that is not something I go to whatsoever, ever. Right. But I do look for what's important to the suspect. So if numerology appears as being important to the suspect, then I believe it should be important to us in this situation. Now, that's going to be a really hard topic to prove. That's going to be a really hard thing to say, hey, look, this is important to the suspect, so it needs to be important to us and we need to look into it. I think we would have a really hard time with doing that. But there's a lot of coincidences going on with numerology right now in this case, right? And we looked at it before with the Northwest slasher, with all the threes, where if the original victims, right, Maddie and Kaylee, their age adds up to 3. The house adds up to 3. The date can add up to 3 with the month and the year. It was on the 13th. It was around 3 a.m. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of comparison and connections to numbers. Now, I understand how wacky that can sound too. Like I get that. I understand that part. And that's not my go-to, that tin hat type topic. But if it appears important to the suspect, then if we're investigating it, I feel like we need to look at it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Joanne said so November
11/22 is the day JFK.
November 22nd, it's 1963 is the day JFK was killed. And who killed him? That's kind of crazy. It is kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But I almost feel like the universe works in odd ways, and a lot of these things can absolutely be coincidence, but it's super odd. A lot of times I don't believe in coincidence either, Joanne, especially when it comes to murder.
Yeah.
And maybe it is important to the killer with the dates. I mean,
I think it is. And I think that whoever it was, I really do think that there's a strong connection to the Buddy situation. The little dog that was skinned or whatever. That's so gross to think about. It just throws me off every time.
I know.
But I really do think that there's a connection there. I think that that is an example of somebody potentially getting a new knife or sharpening their current knife that they might have already had, and they wanted to test it. And that's what that looks like to me. Now, I also understand how bizarre and far out that can appear and seem too. I get it. But those things need to be looked at, right? And we had law enforcement who came out and said, hey, guys, we're aware of the Juten crime. We're aware of the Sandra Ladd crime. We're aware of Buddy. We have looked into all of these things, and we say they aren't connected. Okay. With all the mistakes and the secrecy in this case, I personally just don't feel like that's enough, man. I got to know more. I've got to know more.
Wait, are you serious? The new CIA logo is JFK's overhead gravesite. What? Is that for real? That would be kind of insane. Hello, Moonvale. Buddy was for real, Truth. That like for real happened. That's not a joke.
Yeah.
And it's horrible. That poor little dog. That was really sad.
Yeah.
Like super sad. And that wasn't the only case of animals turning up dead either.
It wasn't.
There were other animals dropped in people's front yards.
All right, so let's dig into this. There's a couple parts on here that are super interesting. Even more troubling, if true, was what Steve had learned from people who had spoken to members of the grand jury who had been presented with the prosecution's case. It centered on the alleged behavior of the two roommates who had miraculously survived the night unscathed. How he wondered they could have slept blissfully unaware through the savage pre-dawn stabbing murders of 4 people in a narrow house with paper-thin walls. That, to me, sounds like shots fired, my friends.
Yeah.
Later, a police affidavit revealed that one of the survivors, Dylan Mortensen, had in fact heard noises and had left her room, only to spot a masked, darkly clad intruder making his way through the residence before she retreated to her room and did not summon help for another 8 hours for reasons that have never been revealed.
They say she left.
They literally say she left her room.
Not peeked out of her door.
No, she left her room.
Yeah, but they're citing the police affidavit here. So maybe he's making a mistake here. He's citing the police affidavit. Maybe this is wordplay. I don't know. Maybe we can't read too much into that because that's not what the PCA says. Is it? I don't think so.
No, I get it. I understand that. But earlier, we used an example of why this might be trustworthy because it said how Jack and Kaylee were broken up.
Huh?
Right? Where was it?
Kaylee and Jack being broken up?
Yes. Okay. So,
yes.
Earlier we highlighted. Oh, hang on. I'm not presenting.
Oh my gosh. You guys didn't even call him out, and neither did I.
So,
gosh, you'd think we were newbies still.
So earlier we presented that they were saying how Kaylee and Jack were split up. Okay. So ex-boyfriend, and how that could make somebody more reliable in this situation. The writer, right? That the writer was talking about potential facts in this situation because they had said the right thing. They were not together. They had been having issues for a year, right? Well, then when you cover this right here, later, a police affidavit revealed that one of the survivors, Dylan Mortensen, had in fact heard noises and had left her room. That, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not like a word play. They literally say she left her room only to spot a masked, darkly clad intruder making his way through the residence before she retreated to her room and did not summon help for another 8 hours for reasons that had never been revealed. So what I'm gathering is that we have shots fired and then we have additional information. I just want to know where that information came from. Is that information that was given to the court?
Oh, Michael, you did call him out.
Or the grand jury? Is this information that was given to the grand jury?
I mean, they're citing the police affidavit. I don't know. It doesn't say that it comes from the grand jury, so I'm assuming no.
I get it,
But
man,
maybe he has more knowledge and he just didn't say that. If she left the room, then that changes things a lot for me.
I agree. It would be really unlikely that she would still be alive then, unless the person knew her. That's literally the only thing I can come up with.
Yeah, if they caught her out walking around, I don't think so. I don't think she would still be alive unless there's got to be a reason for that.
Yet Steve had been told that the two survivors allegedly had not only been awake while the killings had taken place, but they had heard everything. More astonishingly, his grand jury sources allege that the two girls had been texting one another as the murderer methodically went from one room to the next. The possibility that two people had a sense of the horror while it occurred and had not acted, calling neither friends nor 911, left Steve floored, and no less confounding. They had, if his sources were as knowledgeable as he believed, then let hour after hour after hour tick away before they finally decided to summon friends. It added an entirely new band of mystery to a crime that had already been bound by unanswered questions. Dude, this is wild. Completely and totally crazy. And while at the same time, this writer is making us feel like there's additional worth here, that they should be trusted in what they're saying, like with the ex-boyfriend comment. Then we get things like this, right? Is this just for entertainment? And this is somebody telling a story and they're adding entertainment worth to it to keep the reader engaged?
Well, see, Steve seemed to have been advocating for people. I mean, he never said leave Dylan alone or the surviving roommates that I know of. I could totally be wrong. He could have said that at some point, but I haven't seen it. But he did seem to, kind of second, like I heard, okay, you remember the 911 theory, how you were saying that one of the girls passed out?
Yeah.
That theory, I now know where that comes from. It comes from an early on Steve interview where he says these girls were so shocked at what they saw, they went out and they were horrified and like whatever. And it made them not be able to report the crime correctly. That's where that theory comes from. He said it in an interview.
What? That theory is like at noon the next day after the 8 hours.
Right. So, but Steve is the one who said that early on in an early on interview. He's the one that said
so shocked because they saw what happened. They didn't know what to do. They were in fear and shock.
And that's why it was
misreported.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it.
That's where it comes from. That they saw it and then they ran
Hey.
out. Right. She left the room and then what? Exactly.
I
But
agree.
I felt like
VP.
he was kind of sticking up for them in that interview and other interviews, and like he was kind of sticking up for them. This feels less like sticking up for them because this brings more questions.
This is shots fired.
Yeah.
This is very clearly shots fired, you guys. With no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But
Entertainment. This is he's a
But-
creative writer, but he's nonfiction writer.
my standpoint is there are certain topics in here he's leaning into. And then I feel like while I'm reading his writing, there's certain topics that he's leaning away from. And they happen to be the topics that are the most important to the true crime community. So is he using wordplay to get people who are invested in the true crime community bought into his writing in this way? You know?
Maybe.
These are my Dahmer glasses.
Hey. Her name is Coffin Digger.
Wait, where did... Yeah.
You're not getting it.
Man, my lips are so dry. Okay. Now I got to pull up the Dahmer glasses picture. Hang on, Mike. Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. Good call. Good call. Yeah, his were wire. His were wire. Yeah. Okay, so. No way, Mike.
You knew Dahmer? What?
Okay, so moving on here. And in that dog process, he came to believe that the government must have protected a source, an informant who could provide testimony that would tighten the screws that held together the case against Kohberger. Steve was determined to talk to them. He did not want to wait for the trial to get knowledge he needed. For his peace of mind, he needed relief now. After some digging, he grew convinced that he had the informant in his sights. He was prepared to reach out to this individual to get right in his face and confront him. He would explain that he was empowered by a father's natural right to understand fully the last moments of his daughter's life. In fact, it was his duty. It was an argument he felt that no one could reject, and at last he would know the whole story of what had really happened to Kaylee and why. But before he could make his move, before he could get in a room and have a heart-to-heart talk with the witness, he was unexpectedly stopped in his tracks by the FBI. It could be witness tampering, Joanne. If that was his intention, which I don't think it would be, but I think that the FBI could make it. I think they could make that charge stick potentially. Maybe make it stick where put him on probation or something. I don't know. It would be hard to be witness intimidation because he just wanted to know, I think. So I don't think that it's saying that he wanted to stop him from being a witness. I think he's just saying that he wanted to know.
He was a medic in HHC for a little while when I was stationed there. Oh my gosh, Michael, that's crazy.
Yeah, it is. The Bureau had sent an official letter to Steve's attorney in Moscow, Shannon Gray, warning that if there were any attempts to contact the individual Steve had been pursuing, there would be legal consequences. The witness had originally reached out to the authorities through a tip line that promised to protect the identities of anyone volunteering information, and the Bureau was duty-bound to honor that commitment. And the letter went on to make clear with an intimidating force the fact that Steve was the father of one of the victims gave him no dispensation from legal consequences that accompany tampering with a government witness. So I have a couple questions here, though. The FBI was used for evidence, right? So technically this wouldn't be an FBI witness. It would be a state witness, maybe they had the FBI manage that. I don't really know, but I am surprised that the FBI reached out to him in this situation. And I do feel like this article is hitting like all the hot button topics. You know what I mean?
Yes. It's really, that part is really, really interesting with the witness. And
yes.
Who was it? It was Drunk Turkey who said something about it being the DoorDash driver, that he got a tip from somebody, I don't know who, I don't even think he said who it was, but it was a while back, saying that the DoorDash driver actually possibly could be a witness, and that's why they're protecting their identity like so much, because somebody told him that the DoorDash driver saw Xana was awake through the window and possibly saw Kohberger sitting outside in his white Hyundai Elantra.
No way.
No idea. But if that was true, I feel like that would be in the PCA, just being honest, because they would have had that information very early on before the arrest. That's not where they state they got the tip for Kohberger from. I don't know. You would think that would be in the PCA. Just
yeah.
Because that's a big deal. Saying, yeah, this guy saw Kohberger in the car and saw Xana in the window awake. Like, that's a huge deal. That's a huge piece of evidence that I feel like there's no way they could leave that out.
Yeah. I agree with you. I agree 100%. I think there are too many questions here in this article, man. Too many, right? So we have multiple pieces of evidence that maybe are true. They're saying they have a receipt on what?
So
they're saying they have a receipt on
where to go? Go back up, just right here. No. Leaving because
where?
I just showed you them. So I really don't like to ever time anybody out, like ever. But truth, you have made a few comments that were like not very nice, and we really want everybody to stay nice and not say things that are like offensive towards each other. And you made a couple comments that were like not okay. And other people who truth has their own opinion and you may disagree, just don't make offensive comments towards each other. Keep it cordial. So you can fully say you disagree, but truth, if you say anything else like what you said before, I'm going to have to time you out. Just letting you know.
Yeah.
Oh, I think
sorry if I missed it.
I think truth is leaving. I understand that, and anybody else nobody else said GFY or bend over or anything like that. That's the problem. They may say things like, what they said, which I see them. I've looked back and I saw them, and I have seen a couple things, but they weren't nearly as bad, is all I'm saying. It was just people felt like you were being a troll, so they were trolling you back. But if anybody has an issue with somebody else, which we had one person reach out, you can let us know. Let's just keep it cordial both ways, because truth is entitled to their opinion too, you guys. But let's be nice, or else I have to time you out, especially if you say something, like super rude and offensive.
Yeah, there's a way to have conversations with different opinions, as we all know. We absolutely, one of us can believe that he's completely guilty, as another one can believe he's completely innocent. I honestly have no idea, and I think I actually feel like most of our community just wants to be led by the evidence, right? And we want to make sure that that evidence is valid. So I just think there's a right way to approach any conversation, and there's a wrong way to do it. And I think the presentation is where the problem is. I didn't see the comment, so I apologize. I didn't even know that there was like back and forth conversation going on about it, but just present it right, bring up the concern in a nice, courteous way. I'm a believer that you can literally say anything to anybody, but you do it in a nice way. You know what I mean? Obviously not bending over or whatever, if that was said. So, yeah.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, I agree with you. We can discuss all theories. We can discuss all opinions.
Yeah.
Let's just not attack each other.
Yeah.
We don't want that. We want open conversation where we can look at this from both sides. Because like we said before, like, we're not set on innocence or guilt. We want to look at the evidence.
Yeah.
And we appreciate input from both sides. It just, honestly, it feels like people who think that Bryan's guilty oftentimes come in and like are set on it. They come in here almost feeling like they need to debunk every point. And guys, yeah, that can totally feel like somebody's trolling. But I think truth is being honest with their opinions, and I don't think they're actually trolling. I think it's just the presentation, truth, like Brendan said.
Yeah.
And
it's just the way it was said is all.
And if people are attacking, you feel attacked, you can let us know, and we'll say something.
Absolutely. 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 And again,
Brendan.
Okay, sorry. Wait. Is the microphone? Can you guys hear me? Oh my gosh. Sorry.
The FBI got us. I'm just kidding.
The FBI. Wait, can they hear me? Okay. Okay, I apologize for that. I'm sorry.
Okay, you need to highlight the comment.
My mouse just has like 50 buttons on it, you guys, and I can't feel my hand. We've talked about this before. You see that bump right there? Wait, backwards, right? My scar, sometimes my hand hits buttons that I don't even know.
He has a mini seizure in his hand.
Yeah. So I apologize. But Cynthia, thank you very much. She said, I appreciate all your hard work and intelligent discussion. We appreciate all of you. I mean, honestly, I think we just talked about this the other day where we were saying that for a long time, me and Malia would have conversations just like this about things. And we wanted to be able to bring other people in, and I get more from it than I even thought that I was going to. And it's because of you guys. It's because of the viewers. So we appreciate that big time. Big time. And but yeah, we appreciate that and appreciate you.
Joanne.
And thank you, Joanne. We appreciate that also. You always have great information bringing into the channel, and we always love when you're here. So thank you.
You had a streamer tell you to chill with a bud and my boyfriend when I disagreed with him.
We honestly want, you guys, I want people to disagree with me. I love it. Debating is like one of my favorite things, you know? So I love it when people are like, hey, that's wrong. Let me tell you why, you know, and they can bring a theory that has factual basis behind it in an intelligent presentation and way. And like, I love that. That is my favorite thing, man. I don't want a community where we all think the same. And I feel like we all feel like that, you know, we're willing to have this conversation back and forth. We're willing to have this difference in opinions. It's just, again, goes back to the way that it's presented, you know, and being a salesperson, like that is my life every day, is me going to people and me being like, hey, let me tell you why you need this. And they're like, no, let me tell you why I don't and why I hate you, you know, and you got to figure out how to work around that.
Hey, don't be mean to prisoner of the chat, Grace. He is beloved by all here. But Ian is just trying to be helpful. He's not trying to call you out. He's trying to be helpful.
Yeah.
And yeah, we have to have both sides gotta be nice. I get that there's a division in this community right now, which is why we started doing the creator highlight. Because we don't like it.
No.
We don't like it. And we feel it from other creators towards us, and we don't like it.
No.
It's crappy that we can't all use like our good brains that we all have.
Yes.
To look at this from all sides.
Yes.
And yeah, Papa Troll, you are the troll of the chat. Which he made a really good comment earlier, he or she, I don't know. I'm Papa, I assume he, but he said that troll should be funny or go unnoticed, which is what you always say. You're like, if you're gonna troll, be funny.
I do say that all the time. If you're gonna troll me, at least be funny, you know, because gosh, there's so many comments that people leave that are just so ridiculous. You want to know who was it? Somebody left a comment just a little bit ago, and they were talking about the video that we released yesterday, right? And they were like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe this video. I can't watch this video. The guy is clearly drunk or high or something, and I've watched him before, and I can tell that he wasn't like that before." I don't know. I thought it was funny.
So
I barely drink.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Once every 6 months.
So truth about the MRI in the time of death. I hope what you're saying is right. I really do. I hope that's how they went about it and how they determined that. We just haven't seen it for ourselves.
No, and I think
by the way, I want to say one thing, Truth, before you say something. If you have any proof of any of the things that you're saying, like, totally email us with it, because we're not going to just ignore proof. We won't do that.
No way.
No, if all the proof comes out,
J-Ray, no way to prove.
And we think that Bryan is for real guilty, like, if more comes out and we feel that way, we're gonna say it.
That's funny. Yeah, I responded back to him and told that I think I said something funny about how did they know or something like that. Yeah, Truth. I don't think anyone doubts what you're saying. That science like that is usually it's very hard to argue against that, right? And it's important to understand and know the reality of that science, but understanding that there's a lot of different potential flaws and or variables that can pop up that can alter that science as well. And what I mean by that is we just covered that DNA topic, right? And we have experts, literal experts, going on mainstream news, going on content creators platforms, going all over the place, where they're literally saying things like, well, it's DNA, so it's either theirs or it's not. No, if anyone ever says that, it's because they don't know what DNA is. They don't understand how it's tested, and they've been listening and or following the same storyline as the rest of us, and myself included, up until a couple weeks ago. DNA is always presented as a percentage of likelihood. So we covered a video on that. So what you're talking about, I don't think anyone's arguing that point. I think we're just waiting to see that and theorizing until we see that, because we don't even know what we're going to be able to see. We might have to wait until the case might get all the way thrown out beforehand. Like, there's a million different things that can cause us to not see these details. But being able to look to the past, at past cases, we can theorize and try to come up with logical theories that are similar to this case in the way that they were from past cases. You know what I mean? It's the same thing lawyers do in court. That's why anyone that says that, and when people try and put others down for theorizing or making assumptions or anything like that, dude, they're full of themselves. That is literally what lawyers do every single day in the courtroom. When they're trying to get the judge to make a decision in their favor, they look to the past, at past cases, and give that judge examples. That is true crime 101. That's all we're doing, is we're looking at present cases using examples from past crimes and cases. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it is a successful, valid process.
Yeah, I have also not seen the time of death ever shown. They said so far the timeline has been based off of text messages. That text messages, the car, like the video, that's it. I have not seen anything about the autopsy that said a time of death. And the coroner herself said she estimated the time of death between 2 and 5 a.m. That was her response, was 2 to 5 a.m. was her estimate. So
yeah,
there is room for error in all science.
In all science, yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is. Yeah. Now, some may have more room for error.
Yep.
Some may have a lot less, and you can be pretty certain.
We put out the DNA expert video, right? Expert, because obviously I'm not an expert, but we did the research to present it as such. We put out the cell phone data expert video, and I would classify myself as an expert. And now, you guys, we are editing and working on the GPS data. So many people asked us about that because we put out the cell phone data and so many people have the GPS data wrong. They think there's a connection to GPS with the wireless companies, and that's not how it works. Not at all whatsoever, period. They're talking about trilateration, which gives coordinates, and that is not GPS. GPS is only global positioning system, and it has nothing to do with the cell phone companies. So they are not connected whatsoever. So we have that video coming out as an expert video. And then we also have, and I'm excited about this one, the interrogation expert video. I feel like
Interrogation expert video is gonna be good.
like it was good.
It's gonna be
Yeah,
good. They
I feel
haven't
like
seen
it was.
yet.
No, I know. I feel like it's gonna be good. I'm the one who's talking, so it's hard for me to gauge it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
No,
So,
I feel like it was good.
yeah, I hope so, because I think it opens a whole new line of theory that a lot of people haven't leaned on very much.
We are free to waste our time. True. We are. We are free to waste our time.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's true, Ian. And Ian made a really good comment about how science is ever changing, which is true.
It
Sometimes
is.
it hasn't advanced
That's
as
why
much
it's
as
not
we thought it was.
concrete.
Exactly. And let's say truth is right and time of death has been narrowed down to a 45-minute time slot. States currently arguing a 10-minute timeline.
Yes.
As it is. 45 minutes is a much wider window, which is true.
Yes, it absolutely is.
Yeah, truth. Sorry, links don't work in the chat. That's why I suggested emailing it, or you can post it in our Discord.
I've been searching for the elusive camera in front of 1122 also, but this article states, Firefly, that here, let me find it. I didn't highlight that, but it talks about in here where Steve had apparently Steve slipped a video out to the internet. Was that before we started covering this or something?
What? Where?
Hold on.
I don't think I
pull it
got
up.
to that part, guys. I didn't get to read the whole thing yet. I got about to this point.
So hang
where
on.
they talked about the witness. Is this towards the end? It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So give me one.
I don't think I read
here.
literally that last bottom part because we were about to hop on stream. I watched videos about it earlier, but
the killings were hang on, where
he's Joanne said no, he's talking about the ring footage from the neighbor's camera. Oh wait, okay, pause. Wait. I think Joanne's telling us here.
Yeah, I'm just
right here, airmail.
Trying to find it.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it's in here.
Okay.
Hang on. It's in here somewhere. I think it's right after they say that is what you need the perp to be let off in handcuffs. So produce it over 1 month, no arrest, only vague statements about missing Hyundai Elantra, infuriating. Say that pushed him nearly 6 weeks out. Working silence. He made up his mind to go public, proclaim new ambitious. Steve's people who know. Hang on. Is it possible? Verge of the scoop. Yeah.
You didn't.
I didn't what?
You didn't highlight it?
No, because I didn't think we needed to talk about it. It wasn't important to what we were talking about. Wait for other people to solve. I'm telling you right now. So 20. Okay, so hang on. The doleful 1 year. Is it Forge?
Airmail.
Yeah. Yeah, he makes a comment about it being potentially more than one person. Answers, not rumors.
Here, light bulb video. Yet Steve perceived only to be conned again. A grainy light bulb video of the King Road neighborhood came his way that proved Kohberger wasn't the lone killer. It was only after he went to some expense and hired a professional videographer.
Yes, right here, right here.
Okay.
So bam.
That he
then there
considers
was
fake.
this decision to leak a time-stamped video of another vehicle tearing away from a street adjacent to the murder house just before dawn on the morning of the murders to one of the true crime internet sites.
His logic was that it was very possibly game-changing evidence.
It needed official scrutiny, but this video too was also deemed fake.
So I
What?
just saw a comment from Joanne a second ago. Olivia G came out and said in the beginning they relied on that Ring camera footage. So Steve G says it's fake. Yeah, Olivia said they saw the girls get home at 1:45. You're right, Joanne. I do remember her saying that they watched them walk in. Weird. I'm really confused. Maybe it's another video.
Maybe. Hang on.
Yes, Bryan, we are live. Why? Did we not see a comment or something? I mean, we all live in a simulation anyway, right?
Right. Where is...
I know, Ian. I know the Instagram account. I don't know what to think about all their investigation either. And Olivia said that after she heard about Bryan Kohberger, she claimed that she knew it was about to get wonky online. So she hopped on the internet quick trying to search anything about him. Would I have thought that right away if I was not heavily invested in true crime? I don't know. Maybe she is heavily invested in true crime. Who knows?
Well, they had been leading up to that, so
they know Kaylee and her dad. They never talked about Olivia being heavily invested in it.
No, yeah, wasn't the 48 hour talking about the different sisters being heavily invested in it?
No, Olivia was the only one that 40 hours talked about. And yes, she started looking into it right away, but she said she knew it was going to get wonky online, so she needed to look them up quickly. And then they find this Instagram account, but we have no idea if it's real or not. So I just wonder, how much, when did she find out he was arrested? Was it before the public? Because if it was before the public, then I might believe that's his real Instagram account. If it wasn't, then, But Bryan had BK's name before the arrest was made public, and he wasn't able to find anything until after the announcement, so likely fake. Yep. Good point, Ian. Wait, Bonbon said they did not do an MRI in Moscow. It doesn't matter. They didn't even document the autopsies. They didn't? Do we know that?
I don't
That would be
know.
very, very unusual. I don't know if they didn't document the autopsy. How would we know that?
The autopsy where the police were there, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, they had to have documented that. I'm curious, Bonbon, what are you doing? Oh.
Yeah. Just felt bad. But yes, okay. So yes, they had to have documented that.
Well,
I think what the question is the video. And yes, all the lack of video is so uncommon too. Like I think people are missing how uncommon and shady the lack of video is. The lack of video talking to Bryan, the lack of video during the original and first examination of the body, the lack of video during the autopsy, everything. It's shady.
yeah.
It's weird.
So are you saying there's no video of the autopsy?
No. And there is always video of autopsies.
Oh, wait.
Like,
so Bonbon's right.
Well,
kind of.
So it could be documented. There can be a report that they fill out, right? Because there's a couple different ways that they do it, depending on how sorry, I almost choked on my spit. Depending on how advanced they are technologically, they might do their findings on a tablet. They might do it on paper, which then gets submitted into computer. There's a couple different ways of doing it, right? But I would be blown away. Like, I would lose my mind if there was literally no documentation of it. There has to be.
Yeah.
Right? Am I missing something?
Yeah, Amanda, I don't think the sage worked. But thanks.
Yeah.
So the families reference the autopsy reports, though. Right. There had to have been autopsy reports, but was it recorded by video?
Yes, Bryan, we did cover the Cowboys in the House
in a
live directly from Drip Drop's video. If you go under the live, there is a thumb that shows Drip Drop's video that says watch this first, and that's where we talk about it. Make sure we keep the presentation positive when we're debating theory.
Yeah.
Please. We've never had to like do timeouts before, so it would be awesome to not have to.
I mean, I did it once when somebody called us a bag of D's.
Oh yeah.
And the whole chat.
Yeah.
That's all they came here to do, is say
forgot.
You're all a bag of D's.
Yeah. It's like
it was pretty funny. But...
It was funny. It made me laugh. But still, people will take offense to that, so we gotta stick up for the homies, you know.
Yeah. Because we don't care, but I don't want anyone else to feel.
Yeah.
We care about you guys having a good experience.
Right. And I like the different theories, like we talked about earlier, you know. Yes. Okay, Bon, the no video. Look, I'm blown away by that. Literally blown away by that. And that no video comment is what sparked me to want to cover the information around interrogations, you guys. So I know I talked about on here just briefly that I have been a part of an interrogation before, right? In my past lives when I was hanging out with bad people, or not bad people, troublemakers, right? We were lost troublemakers. I've seen firsthand how some of those tactics are handled, or how some of those investigations are handled and interrogations are handled. So it brings big questions, huge questions around the conversation with BK, around conversations with other people that were potential witnesses. Huge questions, huge questions. I feel like with such a high profile case like this, and they knew it was high profile right away, literally the second that next morning, the information hit, that very next evening, it was blowing up. It was blowing up. Hey, Sentimental. Welcome. Okay, now where were we at in this, right? I feel like, would it be good content to buy a Dickies bodysuit and throw things on it? Would you guys want to see that? Should that be like a members only video where I'll go buy a Dickies jumpsuit and have Malia throw things on at me?
Right. That would be super fun. Oh, and hey, Joey.
I think we might do that. Like,
and then get in the car and we should do something that's like reacts to UV light, and then you'll strip it off and then get in a car and then get out and then we'll shine the UV light on it.
That's good. That's super good.
Yeah.
Except I agree.
Go buy pig blood.
It's getting weird.
It's getting weird. Okay. Well, we're weird over here. Sorry.
But I'm just thinking firsthand test, right? Because I wore Dickies my whole life. And I don't believe that is a good, like, when I read that statement, it does need to be done. Like, we'll seriously consider it. Yeah, even ketchup, or you can add liquid to ketchup, right? Like milk, water, something like that, where it's not so literal, like pig's blood or something. And then use something like that, you know. I'm thinking for putting it online that could get some people.
Right.
That would be weird.
I wouldn't even do anything that looks like it. I would see if we could find some kind of solution,
the fake stuff
that mimics the the viscosity of it.
Yeah.
And also like maybe add something to it that can have it react to like UV light.
Yeah. Yes. I think it needs to be done.
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna actually make it look like BLOOD though.
No.
Like maybe like I'm saying, like something that mimics the viscosity of it.
Yeah.
And then we can add something to it that would make it glow when you put UV light to it.
Yeah, because who said Hershey's? Where was that? Hershey's syrup is actually like a really good consistency. That's pretty good. Yeah, I'll have to. Yes, strawberry Hershey syrup. Yes, good call out. So I think there's something to that, you guys. That's why I'm thinking of doing something funny or fun like that.
I don't know if you want it to have sugar in it though.
Well,
that could mess with the absorption rate, no, and like the way it spreads. I don't know. I'll have to look into it. I will look into it.
Yeah, we'll look into it and see. But I think the flaw in that story is the fact that that material is so absorbent. It is so absorbent.
Yeah, it is. I mean, unless I think somebody said earlier that they make polyester versions of it.
So,
but wouldn't that even be thinner?
Yes, but I think that has polyester in it. I think if I go back here, and I'm not going to switch over because it takes so many clicks. So hang on, guys.
Yeah, we would get ants.
For sure. I'll read it again. So it is 7.75 ounces of twill, which is 65% polyester and 35% cotton. So I will go look at these tomorrow. Okay. I will go look at these tomorrow.
Is
And
twill water resistant?
no.
Are you sure?
So there's cotton in it. There's more than 30% cotton. Yeah, I did just read the description. That was directly off the Dickies description. Was 7.75 ounce twill, which is 65% polyester and 35% cotton.
It depends on what the twill is made out of.
And that one that I'm talking about is the $59.99 one, you guys. That is that $59.99 one. So if I just go to Dickies, okay, and go to coveralls, there is Flex Deluxe Blended.
You're looking for $49.99 price point though. They can't be, and it's
which
would be the cheap
long sleeve.
Yeah, it would be the cheapest long sleeve.
Not the hickory stripe. What's a hickory stripe? It's 10 ounces and 100% cotton.
Yeah, that's the really thin material one, isn't it?
No, this is 100% cotton and 10 ounces.
Okay.
Yeah. But the long sleeve one is I believe this is like the $49.99 one is where'd it go? The one we were looking at. Yeah. But anyways, okay. So I don't think I read the last bit here. So, oh yeah, the Bureau had sent an official letter to Steve's attorney. So in this article, they make it sound like Steve is literally like walking out his door to go talk to this guy, which when we're talking about an author, a writer that is writing a story to let us know like what happened here, right? I get that they're going to add things to it for reader buy-in. Like I understand all that, but I have a very hard time with the FBI sent a snail mail letter to his attorney, right? That could have taken any amount of time, literally any amount of time. How did they know about the eyewitness?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
If it was that urgent, would they send snail mail to his attorney to say, hey, we know that your client is looking into this person, and if he continues to look into them, we are going to prosecute him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, Steve really shouldn't have been doing that, but I cannot fault him. If it was my child, I would do the same exact thing if I felt like the police weren't doing a good job. And Steve didn't think that. He made it very clear that he didn't feel like they were doing a good job. He still says stuff.
Yeah.
Even now.
So truth, I talked about this earlier, but with the coveralls, you guys, I'm glad you posted that, because grease, grime, dirt, insulation, none of that is liquid like blood. So that proves
water based. That's much different than grease.
Right. That proves that it wouldn't stand a chance against anything that's water based. And the reason why that stood out to me for people that weren't on earlier is I wore Dickies. Like that was my go-to pant for a while, you know. After my punk rock phase, it was just Dickies all the time. Dickies shorts and Dickies pants. And the car oil goes through it. I rode dirt bikes, and I would ride dirt bikes with Dickies on. and you got to mix gas and everything else till I went 4-stroke. But still, so it absolutely goes through it. That's why we want to do the test, though, because it's one thing hearing me say that, right? And it's another thing being able to see it. So I loved Dickies, you guys. Loved them. Now I just wear sweatpants like a Russian mobster. That's my goal. I put on a big chain and my matching sweatsuit.
Also, I mean, how often do products actually do what they're promised to do? Like, they can say it staves off grease,
Yeah.
but that's not liquid oil, or else they would have probably said liquid oil.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So, the outcome of this article, I just have a hard time with a lot of it. I have a really hard time with a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of interesting to have a look into what Steve was up to in the beginning, the things that he uncovered.
It's really
somewhat.
interesting. This is the first time we're hearing about it, though.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? When they're making claims that he was interrogating neighbors.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we would have heard about this. There have been content creators with like boots on the ground out there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. See, Steve, if you stood in a garbage bag and undressed, no mess. Right. But here's the thing. The amount of time they're claiming this crime happened in, which is like a 10-minute time window. How are you going to kill 4 people?
I would still wear Dickies.
Run out or change completely to the point where you have no blood or DNA on you, get in a car, drive away, and not leave evidence anywhere. How's that possible? So yes, I've theorized that. I've thought about that. Like, how could you change to like get it all off you? I mean, it would have soaked through to skin if we're.
Yes.
I mean,
it would have absolutely soaked through to anything else that was on under him, unless he was naked, right? And he only had that on there, and it still would have got on his skin, which he still would have needed a shower. But another thing to consider too is the shoes, you guys. Like, it would have got on his shoes. It would have got in his shoes. He would have need to fully take off everything. We're talking socks, shoes, a bodysuit, literally everything. Which, is it possible? Absolutely. Do I hope that the prosecution has enough evidence to convict him and prove that Bryan is the guy? Absolutely, I do. I hope Bryan is the guy. I really, really, really do. Because if he's not, that's such a terrifying idea. I hope they can prove he's the guy. But the key word in there is prove. You know, I need to be able to see the evidence. And we say this with any and every case. Like, when we first started looking at Delphi, we thought right away that Richard Allen was the guy because of the evidence that was presented to us at first, right? And we didn't have the other side of the coin where you have people saying, well, hold on here. Let me show you a different side of what that evidence could be, right? Once we see that other side, then some question marks come up, and now we're like, okay, that makes sense. Now we need to do some digging. You know what I mean? Now, when you look at other cases to prove where we're like bought in with the evidence, once we've done enough investigating and confirmed it, is Jailhouse. The Jailhouse evidence is so overwhelmingly good, you guys. The amount of times that they have him directly conducting the searches on his phone while connecting a burner phone in the same general area as his phone. They have him reaching out to victims' families. They have recordings of him verbally. Like, that evidence is literally one of the greatest slam dunks I can remember seeing. It is incredible evidence, you know, and there's no way I'm going to start digging into that. That literally would be a waste of time because of the amount of evidence that's there. We covered that and just briefly went through it because it's important for the victims, man. Like that was, he's such a heinous criminal, and what he did to those women and or men, if that ends up being his victim, is awful, you guys, and those people need to be remembered. But that evidence is a slam dunk, complete and total slam dunk.
Agreed. I mean, I always go back to the time frame and the no blood, like, spread around. Like, they're claiming he got in his car and ran and, you know, drove these circles around. And one thing that Lana said in a recent live stream, Truth and Transparency, was that in the Dr. Moore case, you know, they said the same exact thing about him, that he went in these circles in his truck. She pulled documents, Freedom of Information Act, and they show him as going in circles around the place.
Really?
Yep. Same thing, pretty much. It's the same thing they're saying that Kohberger did, essentially. It's really weird. That's why I was telling you to watch it.
Huh.
It's really strange, the correlations between this and the Moore case and the evidence. It's really weird.
Yeah,
because it's the similar police officers.
It's literally it's one of the same lead police officers.
Yeah, and you know, it could Payne he shouldn't have been the lead of this case. I think everyone conclusively has agreed on that. Yeah. He wasn't experienced enough to be the lead of this big of a case. That was a huge mistake. So, you know, I mean, to be honest, I could give you at least 5 suspects that fit this crime better than Bryan.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not short of suspects in this. Like, that's not the problem.
We're short of evidence.
Right. The problem is there's too many suspects.
Yeah, because there's no evidence. Because all the evidence is so questionable. Yeah. It's so awful.
Unfortunately, yes. We want Bryan to be guilty.
I do. I am not one of those people that like will argue and fight tooth and nail for Bryan to be innocent. I literally want him to be guilty, you guys, because I want the right guy behind bars. I don't want to go to sleep at night wondering if there's a possibility on this November 13th that something could happen. You know what I mean? Or every month's 13th, something could happen that we're just waiting on a mass killer's cool down time. That's terrifying.
It's gonna be October 13th in like 4 days.
It's terrifying.
If you're in the Northwest, lock your doors.
Always lock your doors. Literally always. We just covered a story not this last Friday, but the Friday before that, where a kid, you guys, a child, a 15-year-old child, woke up out of a dead sleep with an insatiable urge to hurt somebody, and he went walking around at night at 3 a.m. checking doors until he found one unlocked. It is a terrifying story.
Yeah,
and it's true. Oh man. So going back to Kohberger, I hope he's guilty.
Jerry said, I sleep with my arms up above my head. Just saying.
You do?
What? You sleep with your arms above your head?
You don't wake up with your arms asleep every morning?
Well, Michael, people should be afraid of walking in your house. I already know. People should be terrified. They should run.
Yeah, for sure. A Claymore mine? Oh my gosh. That would be so ridiculous.
It would be.
Gosh.
Can you imagine? I hope you have a camera set up. So if anybody ever tries, we get to see the video.
Yeah, I hope you have blast glass between you and the door.
I hope you don't have any teenagers in your house trying to sneak out either.
Oh gosh.
Right?
That would be awful. But yeah, I think there's a ton of people that could fit this. I think there's a ton of people that could fit this MO, that could fit into this story. I really do.
Yeah, I agree. There's too many suspects at this point in my mind. And
there
I've
sure
seen
are.
evidence of at least 2 K-bar knives in the area surrounding these exact people, these victims. You know.
Yeah. The camera evidence, I'm waiting on that. I'm waiting on that. So camera evidence, in my opinion, you guys, after doing all this research into DNA evidence, into interrogation, into cellular, which I knew the cellular, but sometimes cellular is really dependable depending on what kind of coverage you have. If you have a blended coverage between GPS and cell site and things like that, just so you have multiple verifications or whatever. But we don't have that in this situation. And so going back to what I was saying, camera evidence, in my opinion, is the most trustworthy evidence.
But even in that, in the Dr. Moore case, they changed it. They doctored it.
They did. They changed the timestamps. I know.
Which is why the metadata, they should always have somebody coming in there double checking that work.
Right before they use it as evidence. I
Right.
think it should be somebody that's like on a court payroll that is not biased to prosecution or defense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because, okay, say the cops didn't doctor it. Say somebody else did that, then gave them that evidence.
Yeah.
You should have it checked, man.
I agreed. I agree.
10 cameras. Firefly said 6
It's not
cameras.
overkill. It's not overkill. We have a ton too.
I mean, I don't feel like
we have
can't,
showing ones. We have hidden ones.
You can't be into true crime and not have cameras.
Right?
Because then you realize, like,
yeah,
man.
Yeah. Absolutely. But going back to the sorry, go ahead.
I think it is possible that Bryan did this crime. I just think that with the current evidence that it's not. That there has to be a piece missing then that we don't know about.
We're missing something.
If he is in fact guilty, then there's something missing explaining how there's nothing in the car, you know, lots of things. I mean, I just don't even want to go through it right now. Lots of things are missing. I just don't believe it.
Yeah, I don't believe it either. I have a really hard time with it. In the current state that the investigation is in, I'll say that. In the current state that the investigation is in, because it is not a slam dunk, they do not have any good evidence whatsoever.
They don't have a way to put him at the house.
They don't have a way to connect him to the victims. And this was a serial killer-esque crime. This is what it was. Somebody planned
Ted Bundy. This is Ted Bundy. This is Danny Rolling. This is straight up serial killer.
I think it's a little bit different than Ted Bundy and Danny Rolling, because I think whoever did this used them as inspiration. So there's a level of pre-planning that they didn't have.
Yep.
Because Bundy did not pre-plan. He got an itch and went with it.
Danny did too. He got an itch and he went.
I know. And I think this person planned. I really, really, really think this person planned. Which makes it a little bit different. Maybe they have two figures higher in IQ. I don't know. Yeah,
my intuition hasn't picked BK yet either. There have been some things that have definitely made me been like, oh, maybe he is guilty, maybe. But I keep going back to the things that don't make sense. And the Dr. Moore case also, like, I keep going back to those things. Like, there's multiple of these police officers who have literally framed somebody.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Giglio is.
That cannot be overlooked. You cannot overlook the fact that there are police officers that have worked on this case that have legitimately framed somebody before.
Yeah, 100% proven. Here, let me open up another.
And the lack of DNA. Yes, Joanne, the lack of DNA. The timing does not make sense. Like, there's so many issues. And the knife sheath too, the touch DNA, that, and the cell phone pings, all of it. None of it is solid. Not a single piece.
Yeah, so if you guys haven't watched our content, right? So, and you, since we're talking about Idaho4, if you come into playlists and where is it? Where's the Idaho4 one? Right here. Okay, so we put all of our Idaho4 in there, all of our Delphi in there. So these are all the videos that we've done between our cases videos, which are the longer ones, and then we also have some update videos, which are the shorter videos that are usually 10 minutes or less, sometimes a little bit more. But right here, if you guys are new to the channel, okay, and you want to know what we're talking about with the Dr. Moore stuff, it's these two videos right here.
Dr. Moore part 1 and part 2. Who is Dr. Moore? And then Dr. Moore, the crime.
Yeah. So, and this gives a total and complete rundown of how Dr. Moore was framed in an almost identical way to what we're seeing Bryan being the supposed evidence that we're seeing from Bryan. Okay. That's why we have a lot of doubt. That's why we look at all the evidence coming out with a huge layer of doubt in front of it. And it doesn't mean we're fighting for his innocence, but look, it's just like a friend or family member you have. Once that friend or family member starts lying to you, you're going to doubt that. You know what I mean? You start doubting that and them. And you need to see reasons of why they're trustworthy again, you know?
I haven't seen it, Violetta, but I will definitely look. Oh,
Oh,
Lana.
hey.
We will
Yes.
check it out. I'm also gonna go watch your live here in a minute after the stream.
We actually have been giving you shout outs on the Dr. Moore stuff because I know we covered it. We don't go as deep as you do on these topics. You really dig out those details and work towards proving.
You're really good at it, Lana.
Absolutely. So on our podcast, we've been shouting you out to tell people, hey, if you guys liked this, you got to go check out TNT. Here's the link. And then we'll reach out to you. We'd like to spotlight you next week.
Give
on
you
the
a
podcast.
shout out.
So
yep. And good night, Lana.
Yeah,
have a good
night.
one.
So, but check those videos out, you guys, and also check out Truth and Transparency.
Yep. Definitely do that. She's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yes, especially the touch DNA. So right here, look, you guys also need to watch this one right here. Obviously, I am not a DNA expert, but I did a whole bunch of investigating into DNA.
Yeah,
and
your new video, the new ones that are going to come out where you covered the interrogation and the GPS. That one's important too. Like
the GPS,
we got a lot of comments
important.
about the cell phone tower data and
This
stuff.
one.
Yep. And this is kind of a follow-up to that because people kept bringing up the GPS and the satellites and all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Saying that the triangulation doesn't matter. And what's funny is the FBI, the CAS team, preferred triangulation.
You know what's funny, you guys, and truth is appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, you saw the tag. Okay. Thank you. We appreciate it. So what's funny is when they profile a killer, okay, they always look, especially when it's this type of crime where women are getting killed, okay, this type of crime specifically. Rachel Morin, I saw people talking about the profile for her killer. every time they say it has to be a guy who has a hate for women, a disdain for women, which okay, that makes sense. But like I saw somebody talking about the Richard Allen case. They profiled, whoever did the Delphi crime would have had to have had a hate for women. But Richard Allen doesn't. He has a super good relationship with his wife. They've never had any issues or breakups or anything that we know of. And he's maintained a close relationship with her in prison, and also his mother. And I heard people, investigators, which I think this was
That's
on
a good
the
take.
interview room.
Yeah.
Okay, the interview room. They were talking about this, and he's super good. He's got a lot of experience. I don't always agree with his takes, but he's incredibly smart. And he does say a lot of things that make a ton of sense. So he was talking about that, and I was like, he doesn't really have any evidence in his life pointing towards him having a hate for women.
No,
and then I think about Kohberger. Okay. Does he have evidence of that? Seems like he had a drug addiction. That is a red flag. A lot of serial killers have had addictions to drugs.
Yeah.
But he seems to have had good relationships in his life with women. So could they have been trying to character assassinate him with this incel stuff to try to make the society taint their view of him from the beginning as this incel with a hate for women to make him fit that profile?
Well, for one,
and who is responsible for that? Who got that out there? Who started that rumor?
For one, I have heard he's abusive. I've heard he's an abusive tickler. Okay. And
oh gosh. Don't even go there.
No, but I think that's a good
weird.
take. I think, yeah, to act like the tickling thing wasn't weird on a first date. It was weird. Okay. But
it is weird.
Everybody's weird. And all of you watching, I know that you guys all have something that's strange that you know if somebody else out there knew that you did it, they would be like, yeah, that's weird. You know, everybody's got those things. Literally everybody's got them. So maybe he has a tickling fetish, you know. I don't know, but that doesn't lean towards
tickle puppy.
Killer. You're not right. You're not abusing somebody by tickling them. You're not taking advantage of somebody by tickling them.
Okay.
If
I would feel abused if you forcefully tickled me and I told you to stop.
Well, duh.
I
obviously,
would feel abused.
But where I'm going with that is that he didn't do that. It was like a tickling situation.
Awkward.
Yes. And when I don't know if she said stop. I forget right now. I'm going to have to pull that back up. But I'm assuming if she said stop and there he didn't push and, you know, ignore what she was saying, then I don't see an issue with it other than the fact that it was kind of strange. You know what I mean? Not first date acceptable. I'm not ticklish, but I think it's because I'm diabetic. My nerves are like half of what they should be.
Yeah, you literally cannot tickle him anywhere, like at all.
I mean, I can't even feel my feet. So
no, he can't feel his feet.
Not really.
I could chop off his toes and he'd have no idea.
Okay, maybe my toes, but
and I know that because I have chopped off one of his toes.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah. But yeah, no,
there is no
agree
proof.
With you.
There is no proof that she isn't full of it. So, I mean, we don't know. We really don't know.
But even if she's not
he was
full
Edward.
Of it,
he was Edward Scissorhands.
Right.
He was cutting her.
Yeah.
He was stabbing all the victims with his scissor fingers. Right. He was just trying to tickle everybody. He didn't know. He didn't know.
That's
poor
super
guy.
Funny. Yeah. It's strange. I'll admit that to anybody. You know, I don't think anyone's arguing that Bryan isn't a little bit weird. So, your eyebrows are not bushy enough. You need to make them bushier.
I am so offended.
I'm
just kidding. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. We appreciate you.
What? Would I look hotter with bushy eyebrows? Or are you trying to frame me for murder?
Should we change eyebrows? I almost ripped off my eyebrows the other day.
You might be my lost brother. Why, Violet? Violetta, why is he your lost brother? Do you guys look alike? Or did he just say, oh, is it about the tickling thing? Are you not ticklish? You know, I've almost questioned if I've had lupus before. I have a few of the symptoms of it. But Amanda, I hope you're doing well and your health is doing okay.
Yeah, I hope you're doing good with all that.
Because that's hard,
It
Amanda. I've had an autoimmune condition before. It actually, I'm in remission, but
yeah, all illness is hard.
It is.
I don't think people give people enough credit for the mental anguish it can cause. Oh, yeah. Diabetes. Oh, man. I only got diagnosed recently. Well,
oh god,
a couple years. It's been a couple years, but I've had it my whole life, and I have gone undiagnosed. Oh, no way. That would be such a good costume.
We dressed up for this past podcast. Next week, we need to dress up, both of us, with super bushy eyebrows.
We did,
or maybe just you.
Here,
maybe just you.
I will. I will. Why? We both won't do it?
No, just you.
I'll do it.
I'll do something else. I mean, why match? Why not be different? I'll do another funny thing, crime related.
Here, J Ray will think this is funny.
Yeah. J Ray will think that's funny.
So these were our costumes for this week. We wanted to get into the Halloween spirit, you guys.
J Ray had an issue with his chapstick.
Yeah,
actually,
J Ray on.
She just thought it was funny. Yeah, she's here, I think. J Ray. Sorry if I yelled in your ears, guys. Sometimes she leaves her phone there and just listens. She told me to yell.
That would be so funny, though, the bushy eyebrows. That is a great. Yes.
He does. He's really good at looking like a cartoon, isn't he?
I know, I look super creepy there.
In one of the videos, one of the oh gosh. It was one of the podcasts where Brendan was listening to me talk and he was putting on chapstick like very slowly.
Yeah.
And like obsessively. It was so awkward. And J Ray pointed it out. You know how many times I've dressed up as a witch in my life for Halloween? Because I was so obsessed with witches that I tried to mentally make it a reality when I was a child. Because I was so obsessed with witches. I've probably dressed up as a witch like literally 20 times in my life. Every year for the most part since I've been able to dress up for Halloween.
A bulldog. I had a bulldog. What's that saying that you start looking like your pet after a while or whatever?
Who looks like a bulldog? Did somebody say you look like a bulldog?
Yeah. So
my boyfriend said goldfish.
my on Patreon, guys, we post all these pre-show pictures. So if you want to see the pre-show pictures, check out the Patreon here. I'll post not the Patreon link, but the member link that I never post. I'm so awful about. Hold on.
J Ray, you're talking about when he was doing the chapstick, he was making direct eye contact. Is that what you're saying? That's super funny. Oh man, yeah, Mike. COVID messed me up too. You had to take he said he had to take prednisone to chill his immune system out because it was messed up for 5 months. That's like long COVID. Yeah, I've heard many people having that problem, and honestly, I think I had that problem, but I didn't go to the doctor for it.
Yeah, Yeah.
I think both of us had that problem, actually.
Maybe.
Because I kept getting sick for like a year, nonstop, back to back.
Yep.
Literally, like every other week, I was sick with something else.
Yes. No, seriously. It was crazy. And then here, I'll do the Patreon real quick. Yes, that's it. But, well.
Oh, yeah.
I guess
Amanda,
not
that's
gonna
funny.
go.
You were the same. Yeah, that's so funny. I really was. I was super obsessed with witches. I don't know, Truth, I don't know what you're saying came out of bogus spirit boxes, but I mean, I don't base any of my opinions off of anything like that.
No, there have been some creators though that have worked a spirit box or whatnot, and obviously that's not going to be good evidence, right? I personally believe that those things are real because I've had personal experiences myself that I cannot be explained. And if I shared them, people would be like, yeah, right, dude, that's not true. You know, those types of experiences. And I've had them in ways that I could confirm them with other people around me. So it wasn't just like my mind going all wonky and stuff like can happen, right? You got to be able to verify that it's reality and not just your mind skipping or the matrix skipping. And I've had multiple of them, went looking for them and everything. So I think those things are real, but I would never use that as evidence. Literally never, man, ever. And what's interesting is the fact that cops and police forces will use those types of people. They absolutely will use those types of people to try and get further in their investigations. They just don't talk about it. T-Rev did a spirit box? No way.
He did.
He did? What?
Hey. Let's not talk about dead dads, okay?
Where?
That's a no.
Oh.
I feel like Truth did take a step back and not be so offensive.
Yeah,
so
and I appreciate that.
I
So
do appreciate that a lot, Truth. So you guys, even though you guys are clearly still fighting, okay?
debate, arguing.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's at least be respectful to each other.
It's just it's just not conducive. It's not productive.
More. Yeah. No more of the dead dad stuff. I don't want to do.
You guys have to also understand that when you're saying stuff like this, you're making other people uncomfortable in the chat. Like you're affecting other people too. And we have a lot of people who come on here and want to have fun talking about this stuff, you know, which I get it's not a fun topic, but like, you know, at least
there's a way
have
we
positivity when we're talking about something so negative. And when it becomes overly negative, then it's just going to put everybody in a bad mood. Yeah. Grace, chill, please. Take a step back.
We appreciate you all being here, though, for sure.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think that is the show for tonight.
Okay, Ian. Ian, you're probably paying more attention too, because we have to talk, obviously.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you paying attention, Ian. We should probably make Ian a mod.
Yeah. We're gonna.
Anybody who wants to be a mod, though, like you actually have time, like to do it. Let us know. Send us an email or hit us up in Discord.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just laugh at him and have an enjoyable experience.
Yeah.
Because he is very funny to look at.
Yes. Yeah. All right, guys. So next time we'll kick it off. If you two are in here, we'll kick it off calm, right? And yeah, from a different perspective. But we appreciate all of you guys being here tonight. I feel like this was a good topic. And honestly, when I started talking about when I read this before we came on stream, my head was spinning. I was literally like, what? I didn't even know what to think. I had no idea.
To be honest, I still don't know what to think entirely.
Well, since we've been talking it through, I more feel like there is a lot of entertainment value added to that article. And I think that's where the gaps in evidence and reality are filling in, right? And
I don't really like that, though.
I agree, I don't like it. But to be fair, like, there are people out there that do things different in different ways. And there are people out there that look at the way that we present true crime and think like, oh, that's disrespectful. They're laughing and joking. And you know what I mean? Like, different people have different opinions. Now, that article, I just hope the key details are real. I hope there really is a receipt or believed to be a receipt, because if that's just fabricated, like, oh man, there's problems. Like, you got problems. You know what I mean? But so I hope all those key points are legitimate and he's just filling it in for entertainment, I guess. I don't know. I don't know
either, because like, people are going to be looking for evidence. Like, Howard Blum is not irrelevant. He's not oblivious to this community.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah.
He's not
star of the chat tonight.
Yeah, he is not oblivious to what's going on in the true crime community. He's not oblivious to the talk online. He knows it. I know he knows it.
Yeah.
So for him to not put anything in there that we can really,
right,
lean back on and
this
see.
is important.
He's selling books.
He's selling books or articles or subscriptions. I think that's very important to take in, just like the guy that...
Yeah, but can't you do that with still like evidence to lean back on, something that we can that has like substance to it?
Not if you're trying to reach both sides of the aisle. Okay. That's why I said in there when we were reading it, like, wow, he's hitting all the points that the true crime community believes there's issues with in the case. He's hitting all those points while saying Kohberger's guilty. Like, he's trying to reach to both sides of the aisle here to broaden his demographic of reader. That's what I get from this.
Yeah, they can't.
And it is a problem, I think.
Telling lies. I mean, that's with the gag order, I guess you guys could be right. Like, they can't give like facts, or else I guess they could get in trouble. That's a good point, you guys.
But how much of it is fact, right?
Right.
Like, are the receipts real, or is that a guess? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
We appreciate you, Cynthia,
a ton.
Absolutely. So I'm curious what you guys think. Chew on it, see how you feel about it.
And Mike, the lightning bolts are members.
Yes. The lightning bolts are members. That's right.
We'll make a new one. I mean, I think we can give a badge to our mod. I'm pretty sure. I'll have to look into it. We haven't had a mod yet, but we'll let you know what that looks like when
I've been reading up on it to figure out exactly how that's going to go. We just have a certain idea in our head of how we want that to work. So I got to figure out how to make that work in the system. So, but yeah, so we appreciate all of you, right?
Yes. very much so.
Yes.
Everybody have a wonderful night.
Look up Zerka. I know who Zerka is.
Zerka. Wait, who said it? Is it Keith?
Keith. Yeah.
You're always in there promoting Zerka.
I know.
Are you actually Zerka?
Are you? And Zerka really has like a true crime interest.
That would be interesting.
That would
add a whole new level to Zerka I didn't expect.
It would. That would mean that his online persona is trolling and just an act, I think.
You will only mod for 1 week to be closer to me? And you expect me not to take that creepy?
But not in a creepy way. That's one of those things where you can say whatever you want creepy, but not in a creepy way.
Yeah. Okay, bye,
all right,
Bryan.
guys.
I'm going to pray for you.
We appreciate all of you. And yes, it is normally pretty chill in the chat. I think this was just a one-off situation. And
are you suggesting a knife emoji, Steve? Are you saying you want one? Oh, a knife emoji for... Wait, are you saying for the mod?
Oh.
That's such a good idea, I think.
Yeah. That would be. Because then you could be like, dude, you guys need to chill out. Oh, wait, maybe that wouldn't be a good idea. To be like, or you're going to get knifed.
A wrench? A wrench? A K-bar badge? Oh, gosh.
Yeah. We'll think of something.
Right, a wrench. You're right. I have seen that. A wrench is what is next to their names, but I'm curious if you can add your own.
Yeah, if you can
change
it.
Give them like a personalized badge, because I would love to do that.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we appreciate all of you. Tonight was awesome. Make sure you do all the normal podcast things. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, leave us some love, some comments. If you're on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google, any of the podcast platforms, we would love your rating. Let us know how you feel about the show. Give us some suggestions. Follow us on all our social media, everything. We're literally on everything, and everything is at ThoughtRiotPodcast. At ThoughtRiotPodcast, except Twitter. And that's why I posted Twitter, because Twitter, or X, is at ThoughtRiotPod. So
awesome. Thanks for being here. We appreciate you.
Absolutely, we do. Welcome.
And to all of you and our members.
Yes.
Good night. Have a
good
slumber,
night.
or if you're just waking up because you're across the world, have a good day.
All right, guys. See you later.
Night.